fun to have dinosaurs on your dinosaur toy hunt, right? Hello? Hello?
I really hate that, man.
Yes?
Yeah. See, the Meyer store doesn't obey any set patterns or product release dates. That's the essence of chaos.
Chaos. I'm still unclear.
Oh, it's deals with unpredictability in complex systems. The shorthand is the butterfly effect. Butterfly can flap its wings in Peking, and in Central Park you get rain instead of sunshine. No, did I go too fast? That's sorry, that's too fast. I did fly by. Here, give me that glass of water down there. We're gonna conduct an experiment. It should be still. The car's bouncing up and down, but it's fine. It's just an example. Okay, so put your hand flat like a hieroglyph. Okay, so say a drop of water falls on your hand. Which way is the water gonna roll? Which finger, your thumb, or back? Thumb. Okay. Freeze your hand. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing again. But which way do you think the water's gonna roll off this time?
Same thumb.
Is that same? Okay. It changed. Look at that, it changed. Why? Because tiny variations in the hairs on your hand, the amount of blood distended in your vessels.
Oh, and look at this.
The imperfections in the skin.
Imperfections in the skin.
It's microscopic, and it never repeats, and vastly affect the outcome, which is
Unpredictability.
right.
Alan, these Meyer deals haven't been seen since 2019.
Jurassic World Dominion Review.
I'm great. How are you? Good. Yay!
I believe my title is Dr. Ian Malcolm, as you just saw. I'm coming for you, Jeff. I could not match that man. I'm sorry, but I did my damnedest. Uh-huh.
Did a great job.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I tried. I said I really tried.
Alan Grant.
It's going good. I even got a tattoo just for this occasion now.
I hate to tell you, you got some dinosaurs behind you. You might look out for yourself.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Dinos. We got dinos here.
We got dinos here. See, nobody cares. What's with the hat? You're trying to look like Jimmy Buffett?
We care, though. You got a double fist margarita like you did in the movie. Sure it is. It's enhanced Coke.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You can
get away from us. You can
You
get
mean
away from us.
actually, he can't get any further from society.
He's trying.
Okay. My mom says she can't hear you. She can't see me.
I can't
You're not
see you.
supposed. No, Mike, you're not supposed to see me, but not hearing you is an issue. So, yeah, she says I don't hear Frank or see me. I'm not on camera, so that's why.
She's
That's
probably
not a-
she's
not a
probably
goof.
going to hear me now because I just see, this is what happens every time my computer updates. Every time my computer
Nice.
updates, settings get
Wait,
screwed
so
up.
your gorgeous intro didn't even
You
record?
can't hear
My-
Frank. He's saying that every time he updates his computer, it hates him.
No,
And
I
it-
fixed it now because now that I'm looking
Shit.
at my audio levels, it's like I noticed when they said that mine wasn't moving. And I was like, oh, hey, there we are. That's a new problem that I have to solve every time we decide to try to update my computer or anything.
No, you know what we should do for a video when Frank gets a new computer, gets a better setup. We should take the old one, take it to the range, and just actually shoot it because so many times he has threatened to do it. But I feel like it'd be a nice release if you actually got to.
What about that scene though?
All I'm
Yeah, I was
gonna
gonna say Office Space where they're beating up the copier.
That's true. That's true.
We're
We could
gonna
do
play
that,
God,
too.
It Feels Good to Be a Gangster on our phones, and we're just gonna beat the hell out of this computer. But I gotta be nice to it right now because it's the one I got. But anyway,
yeah.
Ezra Miller is at it again. Now the news is, and I think this is much scarier than the last time, than anything we've really ever heard, is the court that the family of this young girl whose name I had it written down here. I'm drawing a blank. It's Takata Eagle Feather or Eagle Eye or something along those lines. I don't mean to be insulting if I don't know. I'm sorry.
Isn't it Iron Eyes?
Is that it? Iron Eyes?
Yeah,
I think it was
like
Iron
that.
Eyes. I remember.
They
I thought it was
actually-
really cool, a badass name.
Yeah, they actually granted a protection order separating her from him and went to serve it. And wouldn't you know, this girl, Takata, and Ezra Miller have bolted away. Pun.
They
No,
ran,
actually,
they ran
they
fast,
just went
huh?
to go see the movie Jurassic World Dominion. We just don't know what theater they're at.
Bottom line is they're nowhere to be found, and now the police are looking for them to serve him papers, separating him from this 18-year-old girl, and they are both on the lam. I don't know what to say about this idiot anymore. I seriously, I don't.
She's 18. Legally, can they even do that at this point?
Well, it's not just
There's
that.
a threat, I think.
It's not just that. See, because here's the story.
Just because you're 18 doesn't mean it goes away.
Well, you've been around the last couple weeks to talk about it with us, Brooding Gamer. It's like he's been grooming the whole. He's been in her life since she was 12 years old. So he's spent the last 6 or so years kind of conditioning this girl psychologically and mentally for whatever he plans.
Does she have to come forward to say I'm okay for them to let it go?
I don't know. That's part of my problem. But
running doesn't give a good answer, so. That's not a good sign.
Yeah.
Well, here's what frightens me about this whole thing. Is I've been talking a lot about him in regards to him about not just a pattern of behavior, but a pattern of escalating behavior. So it started out with whatever the hell happened in Norway a couple of years ago. It escalated to all the stuff that's going on in Hawaii. He got into another bar fight, threw a chair at somebody was injured. And then whatever happened in the hours after that, where he broke into the room of somebody he was staying with, took their passport and wallet, and threatened to kill the guy and his wife. And then this stuff that we find out about, and now they're on the run. And when I first heard the story, one of the first things that came to my mind was Bonnie and Clyde. And I'm thinking to myself, I was thinking because it's like he's obviously got some kind of a mental hold on her. It's pretty clear.
He's got something.
But the one thing he also has is resources. I mean, I don't know where he's got money stashed away. I don't think he's ever been adjudicated mentally unfit, or if he's a felon, to keep him from owning a firearm. So you have no idea if they're armed. I mean, you have no idea if he's convinced not just her, but himself, that they are destined to be together in life and maybe even death. It's like I wonder this to me, and I know I sound like I'm kind of being a bit of an alarmist on this, But the reality is, this
You're
is
a
kind
parent, though.
Well, this is kind of where I mean, we've all seen these kind of movies. This is where it starts. It all starts out with young innocent love, and it balloons into some shit that neither one of these people can really understand or control. So I am legitimately worried now that how this is going to end up is that law enforcement or whoever is going to find him to serve these papers, and that he's not going to like it for whatever reason or another, and it's going to become some kind of a standoff. Like I said, I don't know if he has access to firearms. I don't know at this point where this is going to go at this point, because now it's actually it's a little bit more than a joke. It's kind of
Should be
scary.
simple enough for her just to come forward saying, "I want to be with him. I'm okay." Or
it doesn't.
out of
It
here.
doesn't.
She has.
It doesn't erase all the history that they've had prior. That's I mean, you still got to answer for that, I would think.
Yeah. And
I agree. I'm just saying though that if she said she was okay, there's not much they can do.
well, there is.
It doesn't still make it okay. I know what you're saying.
We had talked, at length over on Derailed about the whole conservatorship for Britney Spears. This is kind of the same thing. I mean, she was an adult that was able to make her own decisions, but they found legal grounds to not let her do that because she was displaying a detrimental behavior. And she's well into it, and she's been well into adulthood when all this stuff was going down. So, but then to top it off, it's like he has had this relationship with her, maybe inappropriate even at times, since she was 12 years old. So there's a lot more going into it other than the fact that she just wants to be with him or whatever. But I mean, the idea of not even being around for them to serve these papers to me is a bit odd. You know what I mean?
If nothing was wrong, you wouldn't feel the need to run, is what I'm saying.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
It's like the guilty people run. It's like so that's kind of what it looks like, is he's super fucking guilty. I don't know. I'm actually kind of scared for these two now. And look, I shit on Ezra Miller in the way he's behaved, and we all kind of laugh at him. But now it's become a different situation. Now we have no idea if this. I mean, what if this girl, she decides one day, she's like, this is all getting a bit big for me. Maybe I do want to go catch up with my parents and try to work this shit out. And he says no. And she's like, but I want to go work it out. I feel like it's the way to go. And he goes, no, you're going to stay here.
Are you worried
he'll
kind of talk her into like a Thelma Louise suicide pact kind of thing?
It could be a lot of different things. Maybe they do drive themselves off a cliff. Maybe he
like,
does have access to guns. I don't know.
It's like the
I hope
joke
he
of
doesn't.
it's like you and your friend are in the forest and a bear comes after you. You just got to run faster than your friend. I'm like, you better hope you run faster than he does. You got to run the Flash.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, Frank, you're a father. And I feel like you, or I don't know if you're a mom or not.
No, I'm a mother to dogs, not children.
Okay, there you go. But I mean, you out of all of us would know more about how a parent would be feeling in this situation.
Who have done dating stuff. I mean, what did you do in the past when your kids dated seedy characters?
I've been pretty fortunate with the fact that, well, my oldest son is the only one that's really gotten into dating, but I've been pretty fortunate with the fact that his friends have all been pretty much on the level.
Oh.
So I've been very, very lucky in that fact. Yeah, there hasn't been a whole lot of girls coming around the house that to me have kind of hit the wrong chord, but
also Amber Heard vibes.
Yeah, also thank you Carchado. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, for subscribing. We appreciate it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, at this point, now it's becoming kind of a frightening situation. I mean, are they held up in some cabin somewhere in Montana?
Where they are. So one of his handlers or somebody who helps him with his finances. He's got somebody who helps him with his bills, who has access to like his credit card statements. Someone like Ezra Miller doesn't pay his own credit card statements. I mean,
you never know. I don't know. He's not exactly been in the best state of mind, so it wouldn't surprise me if he's just not told a single soul.
That's what I'm saying about him having resources. He doesn't just have money. He's got
people.
Rich, or
is he? I don't know. I mean, he could be camping out at a KOA in Iowa for all we fucking know, paying cash per week.
No, that wouldn't work because somebody would see him, and it would be like, "Oh my God, he's a man!"
Nobody would
All of us over here in the Midwest, and we'll see you. We'll know you there, okay?
Half the time he's dressed like a woman, so maybe they just don't know.
Exactly. They probably think they're a lesbian couple.
Maybe. But, yeah, this whole thing now is just scary.
It's Pride Month.
And that's what I say. Yeah, that's what I say about resources. He doesn't just have money. He's probably got a network of people that are willing to help him kind of move and hide him out and do stuff because some people just want to be in the orbit of people who have money and power because that's how.
Yes, but that also puts you under criminal charges because now you're harboring somebody that you shouldn't
somebody
be.
who's Wants to go talk to the police.
Hey, you know what? When you've got a bunch of sycophants surrounding you, they don't care. They don't.
I'm just saying, I don't even think you have enough.
A little bit of
Can
trouble.
somebody hack his social media to see if he's talking to people like DMs?
I don't think he has enough money or like pull to be able to do something like that. But I'm not saying he's not a famous like actor, well known. I'm like, you're not someone like, I don't know, like Brad Pitt or something like that. Somebody who it'd be a little bit, I would say not easier, but you've got more reach and more money to be able to.
It's only a matter of time.
That.
Cameras are everywhere. Facial recognition in larger cities is a thing. I mean, and they can't go through airports. They can't go through any federal buildings. They'll be on camera. I mean, any public transit system. I mean, they could be in a cabin in Montana. They could be in a studio in New York City, in a shitty part of Brooklyn. Who knows? Or
all I'm thinking about is that damn scene from The Incredibles where he tries to get Flash on camera. He's like, he moved right there.
I don't know how he does it.
I don't know. Where would you guys hide if you were trying to really stay away from the world and really actually get away with it?
Because then that ruins the whole fun.
Yeah, why are you asking me to know?
Why would I tell you?
I'm not going on record
Miller.
That's where people
I'm not going on
look.
record on YouTube on where the hell I would hide. Hell no.
I'll hide where Tupac
you
is.
almost got me there. Check Cora for a wire. I think she's a Fed.
Oh, I am. I am totally a narc. I tell on everybody.
Cora, we got Cora here. Hey, nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
I'm the girl who went to a party at 18 and got mad because they wouldn't stop smoking pot, and so I said, well, if you don't stop smoking pot, I'm going to call the cops. They didn't believe me, so I left and I called the cops, and
Buzzkill.
they got rid of the pot before the cops came.
Buzzkill.
I was. That was me.
Rude, man.
I was a stupid kid.
You know what's funny about all this?
I'm cooler now.
You know what's funny about all this is still there is nothing but silence coming from Warner Brothers.
Oh my gosh! Did you see the article I sent you, Jeremy? There was an op-ed piece that somebody wrote about the reasons why, the history of why Warner Brothers should and why they haven't canned officially Ezra Miller and Amber Heard, and it's just. I think they're just.
I'd love to know their reasoning.
I just think they're.
Well, you can't just do nothing. Staying silent still does not help your case. It's not like you're going to incriminate yourself by saying something, or you're trying to plead the fifth in some way. It still looks bad if you just sit there with your thumb in your ass and not do anything about it.
We're pushing the movie back another year, hoping people will want to see it at that point. Like, I'm still not going to see it. Push it out to 2030. I'm still not going to see it.
Well, that's the unfortunate thing. It's like, I love Jason Momoa. I love Aquaman. Or I'm sorry, it's pronounced Aquaman. Right, thank you. There was a guy the other day, his gamer tag was that, and I got killed by him, and I really wasn't mad. Anyway, I was not, I even said, I'm like, Aquaman. I hate to say that because I'm like, I absolutely love him and those movies. And I'm like, I can maybe look past it. Like, I don't want to have it ruin it for me. But like, I still want to see it, but I'm also kind of like, but I know how you are. I just sat there and watched you for 6 weeks.
If you see it's not a big deal.
We have a new phrase called shit the bed, and that's what I want you to do. Do what?
She's already taken to the news about running her damn mouth again, so technically he could sue her again if he wanted to.
I think here's the thing. I think he's simply gonna ask the court when they go into the settlement conference to basically shut her the fuck up on paper and make it so that she can't talk legally or she doesn't get a dime. And she's so desperate for money, she'll do it.
I think the best meme I saw was somebody put her head on one of the guys in Squid Game. Like, why are you here? He's like, I gotta pay off Johnny Depp. Like, yeah. I'm like, damn. But season 2 of Squid Game looks wild.
For Warner Brothers, I mean, I think it's pretty clear they made the decision on both of them a long time ago. Ezra Miller's done. I think he's been done for a while. And I think that they've kind of were like, okay, when do we announce this? Because we have to market this movie and try to get something out of it. But we can't say that we've already moved on from this guy and then spend a year trying to market this because we can't put him on pressers for this movie. So it's like, how do they even approach that? It's kind of a weird situation.
DC's newest movie.
There's an outside chance that they keep her around, but I think it's like a really shaky 1% chance. I don't see her being around much anymore either. But I think the decision has been made on both these clowns. Why Warner Brothers doesn't just come out and say anything? That's the question, is why don't they just come out and say it? Again, this is a pretty unique situation. I can't think of any time, at least in my lifetime, in my memory, that something like this has happened to a movie where you've got this big budget movie shot and the main star. It's not one of the side stars, not one of the smaller characters that you can kind of just cut them out of the marketing and nobody really noticed. But like the main star has gone to this lengths to make themselves look like an ass. It's to the point where you don't really want to associate with them at all. But they're the star of the movie. They're the ones whose face is all over the poster. It is this movie starring this person and not really anything else to lean on. So I think that's kind of where they're at right now, is they have no idea what to do. But at the same time, you got to say something. At least come out and say, well, we're in the middle of internal discussions as to how we're going to handle this. We'll have a decision and announcement soon, or by a certain date, or whatever. I don't know why they don't just come out and say it. You know what? Screw it. This guy's fucked this movie so bad. Yes, we're done with him. It's going to come out when it's scheduled to come out. Go see it. Don't go see it. Whatever. Do your thing. It's kind of out of their hands right now anyway. So
I have a question that might help me. Are there any other situations where a studio house or production company has had a situation like this and they handled it better than this? Or is this just the standard of just not saying anything, let it blow over?
I can't think of anything to this level like this that's ever happened.
Okay.
I really can't.
Yeah, like you said
the closest thing that I could think of is that girl that was like a supporting character on Smallville. She was hooked up with that whole Nexium sex cult
that whole sex ring thing where they tattooed women.
The big difference with that, though, is that Smallville was already off the air for several years before that ever broke as a story. Now, yeah, she was involved in that shit while she was on the show, but Smallville had been off television for, I think, like 6 years at that point before this story even broke. And now she's in prison, so it wasn't a big deal for them because it's already been out. They've already got it on DVD. I mean, whatever. It's kind of old news. As far as a big project like this, a $200 to $250 million budgeted movie with this much writing on it, I mean, it's like, this is a very unique situation for anybody in Hollywood to have seen. So I don't know how I would handle it. I know that I wouldn't say nothing. I might give some updates as to what we were thinking, but
are they using the excuse of Warner Brothers executives being kicked out, new ones coming in as like, well, we got new people coming in, let's get settled and figure it out, and then we'll say something? Because they did say that people are leaving and coming in.
I would say that's a possibility, but this guy Zaslav, who's been dropping the axe on so many projects and is really trying to organize what Warner Media is, he's not been shy about making quick, decisive, big decisions. Why not just come right out and say, we're done with Ezra Miller, we're done with Amber Heard, we're done with anybody who acts like an ass? It's like he's been so swift to act on so many big things. Like, he just completely killed this project with J.J. Abrams. He just completely killed what is it? Like a Clint Eastwood movie or something like that. I mean, it's like he's just going through and he's crushing everything. It's like, why wouldn't he jump in front of a camera and say, "Yeah, this Ezra Miller thing, I'm done with this clown. I'm not going to have him part of what I'm doing moving forward." Why wouldn't he? So I really do think the big part of it is they just have no idea how to deal with this.
Are they allowed?
No, you never see.
Awkward silence.
You don't see any crap like this happening with any Marvel actors. Just saying.
That was my point. I was like, oh, god damn it, like Aquaman, The Flash, Smallville, you just said Superman, like, god damn it, DC, get your shit together. You're literally not helping your cases. You can't ever go right for DC.
And Marvel has so many actors that have, like, you have, like...
Well, I mean, you could argue, though, with, like, Robert Downey Jr., again, like, when they first cast him as Iron Man, everyone's like, that guy, really? It's like, well, then he proved you wrong, didn't he? But
this isn't going to go anywhere, and then now he's like the most beloved character that everybody has pop figures.
We all love him. We all love him 3000. But I'm just saying, this isn't. Yeah, I know you like that.
I don't like you as your 3000.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not. Yeah, and I get that too. I'm not saying I'm some big high up executive that would know what the hell to do either. I mean, even if I was. But like you said, it's like you can't not do something though. Like, even if you said just do a little PR thing, like, hey, like, we're aware. You don't have to say anything. Just be like, we're aware. We're working on it. Like, chill. Everybody hold your breath. Like, we'll get there. Like,
we'll talk about it later.
Yeah. So
we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
All I can say about this at this point is we'll keep you posted, because I have a feeling that within the next week,
please stand by.
I have a feeling that by the time we go to air this time next week, there's going to be some kind of news on this guy. Either they're going to find him, or maybe hopefully he'll get wise and turn himself in. I mean,
they'll find him.
That's
they'll
kind of
find
what
him. Hopefully
maybe
it's
Ezra Miller watches our show and he just knows every week we're going to talk about him.
Maybe.
I don't know. It seems like every damn week.
He is the troll that kept
Ezra
popping
Miller,
up.
If you're out there and you want to call in, let us know on Twitter. You can tell us what's going on.
I don't want to be connected to this clown in any way.
I don't know.
I was
I don't know. I could use the views. I could use the buzz. So like,
you and me right now.
There is this morbidly curious part of me that's like, if that guy knocked on my door right now, I'd be like, hey, bro, let's sit down and talk about this. I'm kind of curious. It's like, can you give me an idea as to where you are in your head right now? You know, what is your motivation for all this stuff?
What makes you
FBI while you guys are talking to him and telling them how to get on the call?
You know what he's gonna do when Frank asks him that question? He's gonna be sitting there with iron eyes. Give me the end of fucking Fight Club. He holds her hands like, you met me in a weird time in my life. Like, that's what it's gonna be.
Like, well,
that's what it feels like.
You ain't the Flash for real. You can't outrun a bullet, so don't give me any shit.
But,
Just talk to me, okay?
all joking aside, I hope he's smart enough to turn himself in. I want it to be an uneventful kind of a situation. Let's just put the man in cuffs, move on, get him the help he needs, get her the help she needs, because if he has groomed her to the point where she is pretty much brainwashed by him, it's going to take a lot to not cure her, because I don't want to make it sound like she has the disease, but to help her learn that her life does not revolve around him.
Yeah.
Like, you're 18, you got time. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, just Ezra Miller, bring the girl home. Let's make this easy. let's
run back home.
Let's not have any issues. Let's just
come home, Lassie.
Yeah,
come back
no
home.
doubt. But yeah, I'm sure there's going to be more updates to come with this, because he's
you know what? I have a great metaphor. Just be Lassie and come home. Don't be Old Yeller. We don't want to have to go that route. Okay.
I'll do it. Don't think I won't.
Don't believe it. All dogs go to heaven. I'm just saying. Some don't.
I'll Walt Disney this shit. Don't think I won't. You want to reboot,
that's a really scary quote. I'll Walt Disney this. I'm like, that has a lot of implications, and I don't want to think about that. If you know, you know.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Stay tuned to us for more on Ezra Miller, because I'm pretty sure that there's going to be more coming up.
This ain't over.
You know what'll happen is, like, this stuff usually always breaks on like Friday, and I'm just like, come on, why do I have to have a whole week before I get to talk about these things online?
when I was editing videos the other night and I saw the Ezra Miller runs away, I'm like, I'm like, I'm probably gonna get a text from Frank or Jeremy's gonna get one in here in like the next 15-20 minutes, and lo and behold, like an hour later you message like, hey, we're adding this to there. I'm like, yep, there it is.
There it is.
Ezra had to rear his ugly head.
Yeah, but yeah,
but the thumbnails will be hilarious. Just him in the Flash costume trying to outrun, like, and it's like Superman, like, the rest of the world or the
police cars in the back.
Right. He's like, looks at him like, I'll see you.
Oh goodness!
Give me an hour. I've got you a thumbnail. Just give me time, Frank. I got you.
As soon as you see something pop up on your phone that says Ezra Miller did something dumb, that's when you start looking at images and figuring some shit out.
I'm gonna, just for you, I'm gonna put something together and be like, here, you can have this if you want to use it for a future video. I've got you.
Just in case.
What is that? Ezra Miller Part 4. Ezra Miller Part 5.
Phase 4, Phase 5. Damn it.
The Ezra Miller saga. The Ezra and the Furious.
Damn it.
Wow. Ezra Miller, Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, something like that.
For real.
Ezra Miller grooming.
The grooming.
The grooming. Jesus. Oh, Ezra Miller. Calm down, Ezra Miller.
Ezra strikes back. I don't know.
I don't know. He's doing something wrong. That kid needs help. But anyway, Ezra Miller again. But God, I'm so tired of talking about this guy. But it's so fascinating. It's like it really is like the big car accident. It's like you drive by and you're thinking to yourself, I don't really want to look, but I'm like, but it's there and it's interesting.
Yeah,
I feel like I have
give
to
it
look.
time. Give it time. There will be a Netflix documentary on this, I'm sure. So
Probably. I hope not. Because if it gets to that point, that means both of them are dead.
The Flash scene crossed the world, whatever the Flash heard crossed the world. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. You know what they should do? They just should go ahead and make him a superhero on The Boys. It seems like he fits in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn it.
I'll watch him explode. I have no problem doing that.
I'll watch Carl Urban call him a C-bomb all day.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But anyway, go down in the comments. We'll let us know what you guys think. This Ezra Miller thing just will not go away. And hopefully by the time we come to air next week, there will be some resolution to this, and maybe he will be on his way to figuring out how to make everything right. But, man, it's not sounding good for Ezra Miller. But go down in the comments. We'll let us know what you guys think of all his craziness. But now, let's get to the thing that you all been waiting for. And that is... Yeah. I'll go to the thumb while I read this. Let's see. Jurassic World Dominion, our big spoiler review. Here it is. After surviving the destruction of Isla Nublar and dealing with the conspiracy at the Lockwood estate, Owen Grady and Claire Deering took Lockwood's granddaughter, Macy, with them upon learning that she is actually the clone of Lockwood's daughter. They've been living under the radar to protect Macy, but she feels like a prisoner. And one day, Blue the Raptor, Grady trained at Isla Nublar and has bonded with, shows up and reveals that she has board her own offspring, which is supposed to be impossible. Men are, of course, watching them. They're told to get Macy and Blue's child, which they do. And, of course, that kicks off all the chaos we see in the movie. Owen and Claire set out to find them. They do ask some friends to help them, and they eventually learn that it was Lewis Dodgson from the beginning of the very first Jurassic Park movie, owner of Biosyn, he's now the CEO of Biosyn, who ordered their abduction. At the same time, the country's crops are being attacked by some unusual locusts that are gigantic and terrible looking, and they're eating all the food. Ellie Sadler is investigating and suspects that the locusts were created by Dodgson, who wants the world to rely on his crops that the locusts have not touched. So she asks her old friend Alan Grant to help her. She was contacted by Ian Malcolm, who works for Dodgson, and invites them to Dodgson's dinosaur sanctuary, which is also his lab. They set out to prove the Dodgson scheme, but in the process, they meet Macy, who is bonded with Blue's child, who she has named Beta. They try to escape, but of course, Dodgson tries to stop them. Claire and Owen head to the sanctuary to save Macy and Blue, and then they all meet up there for all the crazy chaos that would happen, with the third act, which was a beautiful third act. I have to be perfectly honest with you. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's the basic plot of the movie. I don't know. Let's start by dissecting the plot a little bit. Lady Cora, what do you think about just kind of the way the whole movie went, the whole story of the film?
I thought it was great. I think the locust thing was stupid. Like, just focus on the dinosaurs. However, upon reflection, since we didn't talk about it Monday, I had some time to think, and I realized if you're thinking about, like, plausibility, there was no way to get the OG people with the new people without the fucking locusts and Biosyn. Like, that was what brought them together. So I'm less upset about it now than I was on Sunday and Monday. I have to tell you, I went to the theater by myself because my dog was recovering from surgery, so she couldn't be left alone. And I'm sitting there by myself. I had 2 other people came in. So I was in a theater with 3 people watching this movie on Sunday night. And I was holding in my, like, shut the door, run, what are you doing? Shut the fuck up. Whatever comments that I love to make. And I found myself not doing that much because I liked the movie and the characters weren't being fucking stupid. It was fantastic. And I liked it overall. And I cried a lot. Good and bad.
Good. I wasn't the only one. Good.
And I love Beta. The first moment you see her when she puts her little hand around the scene in the bus after throwing the tin can, I was like, oh, you were just so precious. And I'm getting choked up thinking about it. And some of the funniest moments were just random one-liners, like when he says, all right, well, I'm going to go get Beta. I'm like, you made a promise to a dinosaur? Like, things like that. I mean, just fantastic. And I would have loved more time with the characters all together, but I get that they had to build up to this shit, you know, and I would have loved less screen time for, like, Dodson and his stupid assistant and all that stuff, but I get they needed some action, and I don't know, overall, the pacing was good. I liked the plot overall, and I liked the way it ended. I don't know that I would change much. I didn't see any blatant plot holes, but I'm also biased because I just love these movies and I'm really emotionally invested in these characters. And it was just, I don't know, it was a great time and I can't wait to see it again. I'm probably going to watch it 10 times before the year's over. And if I could nominate any movie for an Oscar this year, it would be this one because it just moved me. So, there you go.
Jeremy, how about you?
That's
Overall plot of the film, what do you think?
Yeah, I liked this one. As I just, also said in the comments, like my mom pointed out, I mean, I don't see that being unplausible. Also, like, I thought that was supposed to be kind of a joke that it's like probably genetically modified, like locusts. But I'm like, well, also, isn't that kind of the joke of in that time period, everything was just massive? Like, you'd have a mosquito the size of a damn truck coming at you. I mean, luckily we weren't there to see it. I mean, I'm having Fallout New Vegas flashbacks, but if you know, you know. you know what I'm talking about. The Cazadors. I've seen one of those in real life. I'm like, I'm lucky they're only like a few inches across. I'm like, not, 3 feet,
when we
3
had
foot wide.
spiders that could wrap around a house.
Yeah. So I was like, I think that's kind of part of it. And it's like, well, that doesn't really seem out of par with the fact that, there are dinosaurs running all over the earth. So I like that. I know, like I said in the comments, I was going to say, I like the idea of it's like he's trying to get like monopoly on the world's food supply because, of course, I guess now you can say, Frank, that one thing was like Jurassic Park 3. It was like it was the only one that wasn't anything directly related to InGen. I'm like, I don't think InGen was mentioned once in this whole movie. It was all Biosim, which is kind of I guess now the new, corporate machine that's doing its thing. I'm like, yeah, that's a tale as old as time. But I liked it because, it eventually got everyone together. We kind of had a cool, like you said, I loved the entire third act. I went through a lot of emotions in that last third act. My jaw hit the floor. I started to tear up. Your mom thought she was the one that clapped. Brooding Gamer, like, no, I was clapping. Trust me, we'll probably get to that part. I was like, it's gone.
Yeah.
I was emotionally invested in this movie, and I'm like, I wasn't really sure that I would be, but by that point, and I didn't even just upon reflection now, I'm like, yeah, you know what, I was. I would certainly, as I've been now tagging it, the Fallen Kingdom, I think, was the quote Last Jedi of this trilogy, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because I've seen that movie a grand total of 3 times. I only bought it maybe a few weeks ago, and that movie's been out for a few years, I think. I initially watched it. I watched it with Rachel, and I think, we did a whole goddamn marathon of dinosaurs. I did with Brooding Gamer. From 6 a.m. till 4 p.m, and then literally, boom, went to see this movie right after. But
which I don't think we could have done any better. I mean, that was perfect timing. Oh my god, we even had time for a little break in there because one of the movies was a little bit shorter. But yeah,
I have a couple points that I wrote down immediately after the movie, but I'm sure we'll get to it. As an overall, yes, but I have talking points, so. We'll get there.
Yeah, I have a few of my own too. But let's go over to the Brooding Gamer real quick. You, as our resident paleontologist, what do you think of the overall plot of the movie?
I went into. I mean, like Jeremy said, we went in and watched. I went over to his apartment at 6 a.m. and we binge watched every one of the movies to prepare, just so that way we don't go into this movie going, oh, wait, do I have to go back and watch something else to know what this is or whatever? We knew exactly where we were going off with this, and it was good. I had a lot of moments where I was sitting there going, okay, I'm not a big fan of this, but I also had just as many moments where, I'm right there with Jeremy tearing up. Like, I teared up with a scene that I had no idea I would tear up to, was the 2 Apatosaurus in the snow when they're leading them off. And for some reason, I got emotional. I'm like, that's gorgeous. I don't know why. But I'm just sitting there with like tears welling up in my eyes while people are adapting to everyone coming together to be like, let's just move these guys out of here. So let's do it calmly and not push them or something. It was nice, but
the Patrick Star thing. Why don't we take all the dinosaurs and put them somewhere else?
Yeah. I found I was very happy. I was a little disappointed with some of the screen time for certain characters or certain dinosaurs. I felt certain dinosaurs needed to be on screen a little bit more and have a little bit more of a plot or a little bit more story to them. Being Blue and the Giga, I think they could have had a lot more screen time for those two. But I don't know. I absolutely fell in love with the movie. I got very emotional after the movie. I tried to do a little recording of my own for a review, which to this day I still wasn't able to get because every time I started recording, people would step out and be like, "What you doing? Are you talking about the movie? What are you doing?" And I got so pissed off, I just stopped and I was like, "I'll record it with everybody else." But I got really emotional because, like I like Cora and Jeremy, I've got a lot of emotion put into this, or a lot of time invested into this series. It was one of the few movie series I bonded with over my late brother who passed away, which is really why I got that. So it's just like I have a lot of fond memories with the movie. I have a lot of fond memories of going to a little fun fact that my brother's first word that he ever said that I understood was Rex. And we went to Universal Studios several years ago, and I'm going to try not to do this, get emotional, but they have these giant life-size statues of the dinosaurs, and he looked and he went Rex, and I was like, hey. So a lot of fond memories, like physically, emotionally, and everything. So it was really sad to see the final movie, but there's still hope that there will be more, the way they end everything off. And there's been talk that there's going to be more movies coming out, just not labeled as Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. So hopefully we'll be able to see Blue and Beta again, or Rexy. Oh, excuse me. Be able to have them come back in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I thought the plot was decent. Now, I was complaining in the last movie about not really getting into Macy being a clone and her background. It's like it's there, and they play like it's a big plot point, but they never really explored it. They explored it a lot more in this movie, which I thought was interesting. And then, of course, the idea that she wasn't exactly a clone as much as that her mother kind of impregnated herself with some DNA, some weird technology without having a man around. The science behind that, I was like, they didn't really go into it much, but it kind of made sense to me, because if you go into it too much, then you have to explain it all. And that kind of takes away from the storytelling. So I was okay with that. But the idea of going more into her background as to who she is and really what she is, I thought that was a lot of fun. Because there's that science person in me that likes to know about this shit. I find cloning fascinating. So the fact that they explored her a little bit more was very cool to me. The one big negative I have on this is another corporate bad guy. It seems like of the 6 movies that we've gotten, like 4 of them have just been the same bad guy. It's some asshole or group of assholes that are rich and they want to make more money off dinosaurs. You couldn't have found a different way to approach this. I really feel like the only reason why they made the bad guy Biosyn instead of whoever was running InGen now is the fact that they were like, they want to act like they have a different bad guy, but really it's just the same guy with a different mask. You know what I mean? It's like, that was really disappointing to me. One of the reasons I've always liked, one of the things I liked about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is that, at least for the first half of the movie, nature is kind of the problem. Nature is the antagonist. They're trying to get the dinosaurs off the island, as many as they can, before the volcano wipes everything out. So it's not necessarily a bad guy with bad intentions. It's just nature being nature, but they want to try to save these lives. They want to defend, they want to try to protect as many of these dinosaurs as they can. That's one of the things I always liked about Star Trek 4. It's like that movie didn't have a bad guy. It didn't have a Khan. It didn't have, the Romulans or whatever. There was a natural threat that they didn't do, that wasn't trying to hurt anybody. They were just trying to, make sure that mankind wasn't wiped out because of it. So, So making it just another corporate bad guy, I was like, how many times can I see some pencil neck dork with fucking a black turtleneck and stupid glasses get eaten by a dinosaur? It's like, it's fun in the moment, but I'm like, I want a little more depth in that, especially if this is supposed to be the thing that culminates this entire Jurassic World trilogy, and even really the entire Jurassic franchise, all 6 movies up to this point, because you've got all these characters, the legacy characters from the first couple films, and these newer characters in there. You're bringing them all together for this big mashup that is supposed to be kind of the Avengers of all things dinosaurs, in the movie terms anyway, and it's like, you're just going to give me like corporate bad guy? I'm like, I could have done for a little more than that. I actually kind of I like the idea of the volcano being the bad guy in the last movie more than I like Biosyn and this, like, fucking, what's his name? Some nerdy, like, Steve Jobs looking wannabe. It just didn't work for me.
I was going to say, it's not just any bad guy, it's Dotson. We got Dotson here.
Yeah, but...
Yeah, no. I know that's going to be the meme now. Everyone's going to be like, yeah, no one cares. I'm like,
no one cares. That's
kind
of how I feel.
We're going to update the meme.
Yeah,
no one cares. I'm like,
I really wanted something else. No, I don't have any better ideas. I mean,
Right.
For a minute I was kind of watching this. I was like, I wonder if he is actually on the up and up and something else happens. But then I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, yeah, they did that before too in the very first movie. Because Hammond wasn't a bad guy. He had he had the best intentions. Now, sure, he didn't think this all the way through, and sure, it was all Nedry's fault. But in the end, it was all Nedry's fault. It probably would have went off without a hitch had it not been for Nedry's greed. But it was like, I mean, we've been here before. There isn't any. I want a bad guy or a villain or an antagonist that is different, but still is.
You think it would have been better if the world governments had created this reserve and it was all like chill and nobody was running it and somebody raided it?
But we've done that too in like 2 other movies.
That's still the same. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know. I'm just saying it could have been a slightly different play on things, but you're right.
Well, see, here's one of my questions that, like, I didn't write down initially, but then, like we said, I have more time to think about it. I guess we can go into talking points. How exactly did Dotson get to the position he's at? Why are you so special? Well, hold on. I almost said it, but I guess if we're going to drop the big cameo of this movie, he didn't get the Barbasol can from Nedry. So I'm like, how'd you become? I'm like, but he had the Barbasol can. I about lost my fucking mind. Which
you and me both are like,
that's actually a pretty big plot hole, because I thought it was funny that, like, in that scene towards the end of the film, they're like the camera is right on him grabbing the Barbasol can, and there's no mistaking what that is. And it's like, wait a minute, you've got about 5 minutes left in this movie to explain to me how the hell he got that Barbasol can.
Nope.
And it never happens. And I'm like, that's a pretty
big.
It's
like,
I'll
paid somebody to scour the island to find it.
How in the hell?
Other thing is, what if there was a tracker in it? What if there was a tracker in it?
That's possible, and it's like, look, I will let a lot of plot hole shit slide, but I was like, dude, that's a pretty big thing to put out there, and not really give it any exposition.
What that reminded me of was the whole, like, in The Force Awakens, when Maz Kanata had Anakin's lightsaber, and Han goes, "Where'd you get that?" And she's like, "That's a great question for another time." Like, as in, you're not going to tell us.
And
right?
they never hear about it the rest of the franchise.
No, I'm like, as in, the writer doesn't even know how, but you're like, but here it is. Remember this cool thing from the original movie? I'm like, I do. Explain that a little bit.
So I'm gonna interrupt you guys on this one. That way I can put this to rest for you guys. So when we went to see, I saw this a second time on Sunday. We went to Cineopolis, and at the end of the movie, it said, at the very beginning, it said, stay tuned to the end of the movie for some behind the scenes discussion. And so sometimes they had that girl when we go see movies at like the rave, she pops up. She usually has like some nerd stuff behind her on the wall and stuff, and she does like she interviews like directors and everything. It was an interview.
Maria Menudo?
That's her.
No.
Oh, it's
not her.
Oh, it's like something different.
I don't know her name. It's not her though. But she had like Jurassic Park stuff behind her, T-shirt, Jurassic Park and everything. She did like a big thing for Scream 6 or Scream 5.
Perry Nemiroff.
Yeah. She did an interview with Colin Trevorrow, and she was like, "So, Barbasol can, what the hell?" And he goes, "Oh, so," he was like, "So this is one of those direct tie-ins to a series that we do on Netflix." And she's like, "Camp Cretaceous." He goes, "Yes, this is a direct tie-in to that, and it's the only one we did in the movie where you actually see it." because a lot of people are going to be asking, well, how the hell did he get this? What the hell? The very final season is coming up here soon, and he said that will be explained there to show that everything actually is canon and tied together. Because when they were showing,
wow, way to market your show.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
To get people to
watch the show.
But only people. But he was like, he said, but the way he was talking about it, she was like, well, what for people who've never seen?
You can't just throw that out there for the movie people.
Yeah, and he was like, well, this is for the true fans, because he's like, if you're a real big fan of Jurassic Park or in Jurassic World, you've probably already seen Camp Cretaceous. That's not true. I mean, I guarantee, I'm sure none of you have seen it. It's something you all need to watch, because it actually is, even for an animated film or a series, I thought, oh, it's going to be too childish. They actually put a lot of moments in that show where I'm like, damn, like Indominus Rex picking someone up and you hearing bones crunch and you're like, a kid's going to go, ew, and you're going to go like, what the fuck did that thing just do to that guy? Like, shit. There's a lot of moments.
I'll be like, yeah.
There's a lot of moments in that show where you're like, this is a kid show? But then again, you got to remember it's DreamWorks, and they do sometimes tend to, and it introduced probably the best intro to a DreamWorks thing I've ever seen, with the kid throwing the line on the moon, throwing his line out, and then instead,
tell me the mosasaur comes out.
Yeah, no, you hear the raptor sound, and he gets jerked, and he's like, "What?" And then a raptor just pulls him in, and you hear the sound effect. I'm like, okay, that's good. That was good. But he did tie in. He said the Barbasol can will be explained at the last season of Camp Cretaceous. Apparently, one of the dinosaurs.
You gotta watch everything else for it to make sense. Fuck you.
Yeah. I feel like that should have been. There should have been more. Like, you could have. There's ways to go about doing that. Like, put out marketing. Be like, if you like Jurassic World, watch Camp Cretaceous. There's ways to go about it, because like, if I wouldn't have said anything, I get like everybody'd still be sitting here going, "Where the fuck's the story for the Barbasol can? What the hell? How did you get that? Wasn't the island on fire last time we checked? How that Barbasol, a brand you can trust, but this can survive.
You trust it with your dinosaur's life.
But God, I think all we've learned so far is that Barbasol is a very cursed brand, because anytime you touch that can, you're most likely going to get fucked up.
Well, and that's the thing is like, well, would anything have the embryos that Nedry put in it? They're like what, almost 30 years ago now. Would they even still be good?
It did die by the hand of the same dinosaur breed.
He did, and that's what I loved about it. I thought that was very like.
I was gonna bring that up. Did you like at the end of the movie when those what are they called? Not Dilophosaurus. Okay, I was thinking about it the first time. Did you hear what he started to say right as the Dilophosaurus attacked him?
What's your story?
That's exactly what Nedry said when he first saw a dinosaur. I saw that and I was like, "Oh, that's good."
Didn't even realize that. Yeah,
I said, "Oh, that's good."
After the scene, I looked over at Jeremy and I'm like, "So," and he's like, "Yup." I'm like, I love how they did that. Just like, but Dennis got killed by one that apparently can open doors. I mean, raptors can open door handles that are whatever that one Jeremy was like, don't have those door handles. But this thing probably like broke its wrist, opened the door, was like, I'm gonna crawl on in here. But
actually, I think Nedry left the door open. Left the door of the Jeep open.
Yeah, he left his Jeep open. He left his door open. But
even if he had shut the hatch, the other one came in through the glass of the front of the capsule.
Yeah, that was weird that they were just like that quick to swarm. But I had to say, because we went and saw it at the Cineopolis in Austin Landing, and there was a few moments that I honestly, because Jeremy and I saw it at the Inglewood Cinema, and there was a lot more I noticed seeing it on a much more high quality screen than, now not to say that the movie wasn't fantastic on an older screen, but you notice a lot more. Like, there was quite a few dinosaurs that I actually saw right there on screen. I'm like, so that was there. So that was there. There's a couple dinosaurs that they didn't even really talk about, but they're there and you can see them if you just happen to be looking. Which I do like that about Jurassic Park. Sometimes they just have things in there. Like, half the time you'll be watching and be like, oh wait, there's a dinosaur I've never seen mixed in with all these others. So that's really cool. But
I like that they still had to have. Oh,
no, you're good. There was a couple times when Claire is bringing down the ladder, the lowest ladder I've ever seen. She's bringing that down. I did not realize how many fucking Dilophosaurus were in the background each time But every single time they'd pan over, you'd see one just like sitting there behind her, and then she'd look over to do something, and there'd be like 3 more. I didn't even notice it. Haley pointed out. She goes, "What the hell are all those?" And I'm like, there are more. And their eyes were glowing. There was a lot that I did not pick up on. And she looked over at me. She goes, "I don't like those." I'm like, "You're not supposed to. They're not okay." And then that, it gets right up in her face, and she's like, "No, I don't. I'm getting creeped out." I'm like, "It's weird, isn't it? It's that they brought that dinosaur back for probably the most." Because everybody's always like, "Oh, they're so cute." Because you watch Jurassic Park and you're like, "Oh, it is kind of cute." But you see it in this one, and they give them this more. I'm trying to pinpoint it. I don't know if it's like a
predatory.
Well, yeah, predatory. But they don't
opportunistic. That like.
But they're not active.
Pursuing.
They just pop up, and then every time you look, they're just slightly a little bit closer. And even when they get up in his face, they're all just like, there's like 4 of them. God, everywhere. And they're always just staring at you. And I can't remember if it's what are those?
The Michael Myers tactic is what they do.
Sure, but those the weeping angels. It's what they remind me of, because they don't have much facial expression given for a reptile. They don't really give much facial expression other than, but
I like to play with their food.
But it's just there's something about them that just creeps me out, because they're always just like, boop, 2 more, boop, 3 more, boop, 4 more, and they're all just staring at you. But to watch, they clearly try to make some characters badasses when one gets right up in her face, and you just have Owen slam its mouth shut. It spews acid from its own mouth, and then she takes it.
Awesome.
When we saw it the first time, my mom was like, "Oh, she just stabbed it in the skull with a knife." I'm like, "No, she didn't. No, she didn't. They wouldn't have done that to a dinosaur, especially because Owen kicked it and yelled, 'Now get!'" And I'm like, "Okay, get on out here, you hear?" But no, like, they hold his mouth shut. Owen just fucking chokes it. And I was like, how big of a badass? I mean, given that is his, like, finally significant other, and they finally just fucking got together, for fuck's sakes. And
then there are 2 other people in this movie that I said the same thing about.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
That was my very first point I wrote down. Trust me, it was my first point.
But her taking the taser and just shocking the fuck out of the dial-off source, I was like, okay. I did not know if I would like her going into this movie, but she quickly became one of my favorite characters in the entire film. Yeah.
She was awesome.
I really liked her. I thought she was fun.
Kayla Watts or something like that, I think.
Actually, hold on. Before we get to that almost perfectly segued. I have a point that I wrote down that I'm like, did we just kind of leave this there? Talking about, well, not a badass woman, but a fucking bad woman. The old Asian whatever bitch who had the lasers for those, like, attack raptors.
You and all of YouTube right now is trying to figure out what the fuck happened to her.
Well, not necessarily figure, but I'm like, well, wait a minute. We just fucking left Barry there with a gun holding to her, and I'm like, so what happened? We just left them there. I'm like, okay, never going to revisit that storyline again, I guess.
Or they will in the Netflix series.
Not yet.
No.
The last season of Camp Cretaceous. Fuck you. God damn it.
Colin Trevor,
I'm just saying, like, I thought it was a cool thing that it kind of harkened back to the Indoraptor, which I'm assuming that's kind of what it was for. Like, they were like, oh yeah, if you put a laser on somebody and you hit attack, and then they go into attack mode. But I'm like, yeah, we kind of cornered her. And she got her last little laugh by, like, trying to raising my hands. Gotcha, Owen. And then he takes off. And like I said, we just had Barry sitting there with a gun to her. Kind of got the drop on her. I'm like, okay, so was that it with her?
I wanted more of those Atrociraptors. I loved them, and I wanted more. I don't know.
I'm just saying that was a weird. Just they kind of left that there. I'm like, okay, never gonna think about that again.
Well, there has to be some stuff open if they do want to continue it. I mean.
I know, that's why I put some big quotations of it's the last movie.
Well, they did show also the pilot gal getting a new plane. They didn't have to put that in. That kind of shows that maybe her character is maybe show up again.
And the overall thing is, I'm like, at the end of the movie, we're still exactly where we were in the beginning. I'm like, we still just have dinosaurs. I mean, what? We're still kind of in the same situation.
Africa. I mean, if they decided to follow her in another film, I'm okay with it. Because obviously they made her a very she likes redheads. Nothing wrong with that.
She was talking to that one girl. So
yeah.
Maybe.
But well, I don't know. It's like usually if you introduce a new character like that,
it means they're going to get their own sideshow. I swear to God, every damn new thing I watch now, every damn thing, I sit there and think, okay, which one of these is literally like the next week we're going to get announced, hey, they're going to have their own spin-off series. I swear. That's going to be the new thing. Maybe we're moving on from like, you have that 30-year grace period, and we're like, okay, we're going to add a new sequel to this beloved story and fuck it up even more. I'm like, okay, don't do that. Now it's okay, any single... Trust me, just I challenge you, watch anything that's happened in the last couple of years. One of those damn characters in that movie now has their own spin-off thing, and I'm like, but why? I didn't care. I didn't care to watch the Suicide Squad be like, hey, you know who's getting their own show? John Cena's character. I'm like, what?
The least interesting character in that entire movie.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
But it's so funny.
Be the new meta.
It's so funny. Yeah,
I don't hate John Cena. I'm just like, but why did you do that?
I didn't like you in this. Why do I want to see you in this? But I mean, honestly,
I didn't want to see you. I wish I had a camera. Damn it, I did the thing and everything.
If
Has
we
there
actually
been any confirmation from anybody associated with Jurassic Park on the backside that they're going to or wanting to do a post spin-off of any kind?
Maybe I should reiterate, I would not actually mind if she did get one because, again, she was pretty interesting and she was a badass.
She was funny as hell. I loved her.
Yeah,
I would be all right with that if they did a movie.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a chance for us to get other characters. You know, we saw Barry for a little bit, and that was cool. I was happy to see Barry come back.
Brought him back.
Yeah. And then, you know, kind of having her story with, if they wanted to follow her going across, you know, somehow she would get mixed up with some character or something. I don't know. Trying to put a plot together for a movie involving her, there's too much going on. But you know, that would possibly open up more for James Bond villain number 3, whatever her name was. Sonia.
You know, she played the exact same role on this other TV show, Animal Kingdom. She played a broker who got stuff and sold stuff to really bad people.
DeWanda Wise the role well enough, man. I mean, hey.
DeWanda Wise did.
You know, it was funny. I said the same thing. I don't remember the actress's name, but the one who played Enfys Nest in the Solo movie, and also she was Carly Morgenthau in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh,
I was like, you are literally the same character. You're this young little rebellious redhead who has this movement against. I guess in that case it was the super soldiers thing, and then in Star Wars it was, I guess, technically the beginning of what we see of the rebellion that we know of. I'm like, wow, you're literally the same character.
As far as spin-off stuff is concerned, I don't know that they have as much to work with as other spin-offs we're seeing. Because it's like when you look at something like Star Wars, you've got all these ancillary characters that have been around for, 40 years now. You got the Boba Fetts, you've got, Obi-Wan, you've got the Mandalorian, you've got, the Bad Batch. You've got all these things that have happened in the universe that you can go tell stories away from the core of the stuff that we know in like the Skywalker saga. I don't know that there's a whole lot of people in the Jurassic World like mythos that you could really do that for. You could get, it would be fun to go see Alan Grant and Ellie Sadler off on some weird adventure, but it's like, would it ever be them like running away from T-Rex again or being invited to some? It would never be at that level. And I don't know that I would want to see them in like a Mad About You, something like that, like in a kind of like that kind of a sitcom situation. Because I feel like that you can't really have them on screen without them running from dinosaurs and screaming at least. There, you know what I mean? You can't really do that because you don't. It would be nice. Like me and Jeremy, I'm sure would love to see some kind of a cerebral comedy starring Ian Malcolm. but
we all would. Does anything that work? He does.
But does that work away from a dinosaur chasing him and trying to eat him? I don't know that there's that many characters around. Dodson's not available anymore. Nedry's not available anymore. Hammond's dead. It's like all these people.
Lockwood's dead.
Yeah, Lockwood's dead. It's like all these people that you could kind of grow that universe around
with the Maisie, like in 10, 20 years.
Well, and the thing is,
but it's just another runaway from dinosaurs and Scream movie.
Yeah.
I feel. You know what I was kind of worried about there for a minute, when I was kind of glad they actually did a little more of, delving into her backstory. But I was really worried. I'm like, oh my good God, are we really about to do a Virgin Mary? And she's like literally the Christ reborn. Please don't do that. Please. I was like, please don't make her that character. It really didn't. Like, it wasn't like heavy handed. I thought like, oh crap, her mom's Virgin Mary, isn't she? And then now she's like the savior. I'm like, okay.
You know what worried me for a minute, and I thought they were going to do this, and I was so glad they didn't, because it would have just been too weird. I really thought for a minute that Wu was going to reveal that she had some kind of dinosaur DNA in her. I was like, no.
Your mom was
Don't make her a mutant or a superhero or some bullshit like this. Come on, that's not what this movie does.
Your mom was part monitor lizard.
Ellie knew her mom. Like, that to me was just like, come on.
I thought it was cool. Though. I have to admit.
It was plausible to you?
Well, in a way,
dinosaurs are possible right now, so whatever.
Because, I mean, she was there living on Site B for the longest time, and I mean,
that's true.
So I just think it was really nice because the whole time she's now found out at the time she's a clone. So she's, and as I don't think we, to my knowledge, have any human clones running around. So to be told that, you were just made in a test tube. You literally have no purpose other than just to make your grandfather happy. So,
oh my God, they almost did the same thing with Star Wars with Rey. They're like, hey, you're nobody. All right, we're gonna turn on bomb drop. You're a Palpatine now. I'm like,
but just going through all that just for her to find out, I honestly thought it was really sweet. And this coming from someone who I didn't like Maisie at all. Like, I literally pre-ordered every pop figure for this movie and it was like, nope, skipped over her. But after that, I was sitting there and I'm like, when she's like, so I have a mother. It was like, oh, you do. Like, at first I was sitting there, I'm like, so when, he was like, I honestly expected him to be like, oh, my grandfather made me. No, I did. No. And it turned out that, when she stood up and she had the pregnant stomach, I'm like, oh, so she's not a clone. Okay, I'm okay with this. And then I was waiting for him to be like, your mother's part black monitor lizard.
Oh boy.
But
or
alien. To fill in some holes.
Or alien.
I just thought that they spent so much time trying to make Maisie look like a scientific creature to the point where they started kind of just slowly humanizing her. And then you had Ellie be like, I actually met your mother. And I thought it was like, oh, and then she was like, yeah, my mom she was trying to figure her shit out. And I thought that they did a good job. I thought it was hilarious. Oh, hello, friend. Hello and welcome, my little Ellie. Hi. Oh, hello. I thought, okay, baby. Okay. You're bringing my headset down. I thought it was just really sweet and all that. And especially with, I have a little fuzzy velociraptor here attacking me. I thought it was good. I really did. And you got to see Ellie. You got to see Maisie feel more human than she ever has in many years. You got to see. I know a lot of people online were complaining about, oh, Maisie was too cringy. She was annoying, and I'm like, I'm fucking sorry.
Not in this movie. The first movie, yes. Movie, excuse me.
Maisie's a teenager. Yeah. All teenagers are annoying.
I was going to say, could you imagine being a teenager, but also having that way over your head that, like, oh my God, what am I? Am I a clone? Am I not even human? You'd be even more upset.
That is an interesting point, because it's like she's already a teenage girl, which under the best of circumstances can be a terribly awkward place to be. Now you're a clone, and you've got people that are out there in the world that want to get you and probably almost literally carve you up to see what the hell is going on inside you.
But you get and I thought this was great because you go, and again, with Jeremy and I watching all the movies in one day, you go from Claire not knowing what a child is. So he's this
small
age.
Versions of adults.
You're
welcome.
But him going, how old's your nephews? And she's like,
not only that, she
you don't know how old your nephew is.
And that's a child and took on the role of mother, literally.
That's the point I was going to get to. Was like, I
need Dr. Will.
Yeah. I didn't know if I was the only one who watched this. I don't know if I was the only one in my heart or head at this point. When she's like, first she goes, "Is that your daughter?" And she goes, "Yes." Didn't even hesitate. She goes, "Yes." And I'm like, "Oh," but I have to say, the most thing that got me choked up this entire movie was when the car flipped and she focused and she goes, "Those are my parents." And I'm like, "Oh, they are." I was like, so it was good that, you know, she had kind of this, you know, problem of going through where they really brought out Maisie's story in a very good, passionate, and they didn't make her off to be this biological, scientific monstrosity, a clone.
They humanized her.
Yeah, they humanized her, and I thought that they did a fantastic job of not pushing it in your face and shoving it down your throat. That's like, "Hey, she's a clone. Hey, she's a clone. Clone." Like, no, it was just like, "Hey, by the way, you know, you have a mother. We should stop talking about this though, because that motherfucker's about to eat everybody." So, but I really liked it, especially any scene with Dr. Wu. He definitely was a completely different human being.
Wasn't it affecting how his persona changed? He's wearing frumpy sweaters. He's looking like Dorothy from
His hair was matted,
Girls,
yeah, like
gray hair and sweaters.
And he seemed completely like defeated. Like, you know, you get Dotson, who I have some big points to get in with Dotson.
I do too. Well, I have a point then about Dr. Wu. I guess I maybe should have waited for the end, but like that was my question. Did Dr. Wu maybe finally redeem himself?
Yes, I think he did.
I think that was a big theme about this entire movie.
Let him. I think only because Maisie let him, because he came into the room. He's like, "I can fix this," and they were all like, going to leave him on the island and let him fucking die.
But you got Ian Malcolm. It's like,
he tried to say that to Dotson too, and he's like, "I could do something with this," you know. But
it's always him.
She trusted him after seeing the videos and talking to him and understanding what he did and what he knew, and that he could fix it.
Yeah, so, but it was just weird because the way he talked to when you talked to Dr. Wu and people would snap at him, he was very quick to bounce right back to be like, "Yeah," you know, like he was a smart man and he had the brains and the balls to back it up.
I really liked his redemption arc.
Yeah, in this he seemed like he was just like, "I don't like this idea." Man. "Well, I don't pay you to think." "Okay, you're right." Like he just was, and you could tell.
I don't remember. He was scared to get killed if he had fought. Like,
you see him.
Nobody would know you died.
You see him looking like he's shopping in a fucking Hobby Lobby with his briefcase, and he's like, "I can fix this."
I thought it was really interesting that he was the one person left from Jurassic Park 1.0 that was still around.
Yes.
And I thought that like his attitude, like for the last couple of times we see him, his attitude is one of like, "I created this shit, I can totally fucking control it." But like in this movie, he's like, "Wait a minute." Now I think he kind of came to the same understanding that Hammond eventually did. He's like, maybe this whole thing was just a mistake. Maybe we just weren't ready. We're not intellectually, we're not ethically ready to handle any of this. And that was why you see that visual change from him with like the black turtleneck, the neatly coiffed hair in the last movie where he's like bouncing out in a helicopter to keep doing nefarious genomic shit. And now he's like, freaking hey, dude, I realize now that I've been part of the problem. With good intentions, maybe, at least at times. With good intentions, maybe in the beginning, but he's like, now I'm like, you know, maybe they were right all the way back in 1993 when we were going through all that shit back then, and maybe we're just not ready for this at any level. And that's what kind of changed, like even like I said, even his look. He goes from that, you know, clean cut scientist to like looking like some haggard old man in this movie. It's like I feel like that was a big part of his transition. That's why I really like that scene at the end where he walks out with that big locust that is obviously the one that's the locust, the genetically altered one, and he opens it up and lets it fly away, and there's this satisfaction of him like, I've done what I
he gets this like hands up in the air, and
like everything going back to like even being a part of the OG Jurassic Park. He's just like he finally feels like he's absolved of the role that he played in that.
Yeah,
that's what I was saying. I think he finally had a satisfying redemption arc. I really like that. He was part of the problem and the solution. Like you were saying, like it's that saying, "The road to hell is paved with the best intentions." Like that was you didn't realize, and that's why we always say with Dr. Malcolm, it's like, yeah, but he was right the whole time. Like before anyone else realized it. Like, yeah, this is not a good idea. Like,
but you got one thing I kind of thought about it is like, when you have Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, because those are really only Fallen Kingdom, but
Yeah, that one.
You have those two movies where Dr. Wu, there was no other doctor that could make dinosaurs. There was no other Dr. Wu. And now when you look at like the Biosyn facility, you've got all these bright young minds that have all created not only dinosaurs, but perfectly recreated genetic dinosaurs. So you start getting dinosaurs with your feathers and, well, your feathers. And Dr. Wu really didn't play much of a part in it. While you get these young minds creating dinosaurs in the most perfect way that Dr. Wu couldn't even do to begin with. Now, given if he had more time and more research, he probably could have done it. But while they're all creating dinosaurs the way they should have been, he's over here playing with bugs. And to him, that is probably the biggest, like, you've worked for a company for so many years, and, well, I think we're going to go ahead and put you up on register, but I've worked here 30-some years. I should be able... No, we're going to put you up on register. That's pretty much, to me, what it felt like, that they took someone of his brilliance and didn't even really give him a chance. They put him in a lab where he didn't get to... You never once, if you think about it, never once get to see him outside of that lab. He's never able to get out, to move around, to go do things. And I feel like they did that on purpose to keep him in that one location. He never, I don't know if they did it on purpose or if maybe I'm overthinking it. But it's like, he didn't get to explore. He didn't get to branch out and do more. He had to sit in his lab with bugs. And while everybody else is out there doing what he wanted to do, which was to make not, theme park monsters, but things the way they were supposed to be made. And that does kind of have me lead into Dotson, because boy, oh boy, did I'm just like many people out there, cliff note after cliff note after cliff note of Dotson being in every single one of them.
Yeah,
I had a lot of Dotson points of what in the absolute fuck was going on, and I don't know if I'm going to bring it up just in case anybody else had the idea, but a coworker of mine who doesn't even really care for Jurassic World or anything brought this up because of something she's battling in her own household. The whole time, I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but every time you see Dotson, he's very flighty. He eats constantly, which I had an idea for. And I'd love to hear your opinion on it.
Yeah, I had an idea as to why. I was like, you're doing like the Brad Pitt thing where you're just constantly eating in your movie. I'm like, but why? What are you doing? Like, I think I had some sort of idea as to why, but like, I don't know.
Well, at first I thought maybe it was because the last, in my perfect world here in my noggin, the reason I was like, okay, the last big powerful figure he ran across probably would have been Dennis Nedry. The first time and probably the only time we know that he has seen Dennis is sitting there surrounded by food, and he's gorging himself, and he's making Dotson to look like a fool. He's making him feel small and little while he is gorging himself on food constantly. And in my head, he's thinking, if I'm constantly eating, I feel more powerful. I don't know. I felt like it was some sort of a mind game in his own.
I had something completely different.
Well, I've got my other
different way with as to why.
I've got my other point here, which I don't know if it'll even go very far, but that was one idea. It was just weird that he'd be talking all, welcome to Jurassic, got candy. Like I had, there was times.
You got my bar?
I leaned over to Haley. I leaned over to Haley while we were watching the movie, and I'm like, tugging her shirt. She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Do you have my bar? Do you have food?" And she's like, sitting there throwing popcorn at me. She's like, "Shut up!" But there was a lot of times that she would turn and go, "Are you getting some vibes from him?" And I'm like, "What kind of vibes?" And she's like, "He seems weird. Like he seems not there." But what made it in this? I apologize if I'm stepping on anybody's toes with bringing this up. But when I was talking about it at work, I was like a coworker of mine, she's like, "What did you think of him?" And I'm like, "I didn't like him in the slightest. He seemed too childish for me." And she goes, "I think I know why." And I was like, why do you say that? She goes, a lot of the things. So she's like, you remember at the beginning of the movie, they were talking about how dinosaurs are not just helping us learn more about them, but they're also helping us learn more about ourselves. We're learning more from, which of course we knew was going to happen. Like, the spinal fluid from a Carnotaurus can help cure AIDS or something like that. But she brought it up.
Right.
And one of the key points he brings up is we will be able to help people with like dementia, stuff like all these other things. And she said, I'm not trying to be weird about this, but he seemed to be very like he was there, but not there. And she said, I'm wondering if he was like this because he is possibly suffering from dementia. And that's why he just seemed so odd the way he acted and the way where he'd seem kind of like there. And then he would seem not there. And then you'd see him constantly eating food. And it's just like, which is a sign of dementia where you eat a lot because your body, your brain and everything. It's just one of the things. She goes,
some, not all.
Yeah.
I
well,
think
she
it
was
a
talking
character
about
trait they gave him because that's something we see in a lot of real life people like him. Like Elon Musk has little quirks. Steve Jobs had little quirks.
Yeah.
They tried to make him quirky because that's what we expect from these super intelligent weirdos like him. My problem with that is that's not at all how he was portrayed in the first movie. The Dodson that we saw, I didn't
we
want
only
to see
saw him for a minute, so
yeah, but we got a good indication of who he was. He's just a driven bastard. It would have made more sense if you just stuck with that and made him a driven bastard in this movie instead of making him this guy. It's like Elon Musk. I think does he have Asperger's or something like that? I don't recall. I know he's got something. He's not just
they say
eccentric
that the
and
only
weird.
difference between serial killers and CEOs is a little bit a very fine line.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of psychopaths in these CEOs.
Probably true, but
he reminded.
Yeah, redefining the whole Dodson thing to me was just weird. I mean, I understood bringing him back. I mean, look, you brought back a couple of legacy characters from the very first film. Why not go ahead and make Dodson the bad guy? But why not just have him be the same Dodson? It was just I don't understand the transition from the guy who was trying to. I don't understand the transition from the guy who was paying off Nedry to this very Steve Jobs-like character. I don't really get it.
Well, there is about like 30 years of time between then. I know a lot can happen, but I still didn't quite get what the deal was. My point was, I said, or I can read it right here. I said, like, was Dodson supposed to be acting like a spoiled rich kid when things weren't going his way? Or was he supposed to be awkward or quirky? I was like, I think I said to you, Brittany Gamer, I was like, you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of like Kylo Ren, but with no force powers and no lightsaber to bang into a.
Yeah.
I was like, I would see that scene of Kylo Ren like destroying that panel with his lightsaber. I'm like, that's what I just saw, and I'm kind of like, I was sitting there like the whole movie. I'm like, bro, are you good? Like, I know, like on a different level of like, are you okay, man?
He's mad. He didn't have his Skittles.
A damn assistant got me Skittles instead of M&Ms. Damn it.
It's just somebody throw him a candy bar, be like, here.
Dawson, eat a Snickers. Why? You're not you when you're hungry. That could have been the ad right there. That could have been the ad.
You guys, if you think it was pivotal that there was a fire, because I think the guy fucked up. He should have just emptied the room of oxygen so that the locust would die.
Actually, that's a reference to it's a direct response to the plague reference. Did you hear that in the movie?
No.
What did they say?
Fire and then the locust.
They were talking about
biblical stuff.
Yeah, the biblical plagues, and like we dealt with the locust already, and then they dealt with fire, raining fire, which is symbolic of the locusts that were on fire that were falling out of the sky at one point in the movie. And
I thought that was cool, though.
What was the other thing?
Just a giant swarm of fire bugs just flying through a forest of dinosaurs. I mean, like, where else can you get a giant dragon-looking dinosaur walking through the forest and then just a flaming wad of locusts flying overhead and it looking up and being like...
I like how that's how we kind of dodged around I love how that's how we kind of dodged around the whole, like, hey, we can't go back to the islands, right? So we have this little shut-off area of, like, jungle that's here where we can still have the dinosaurs and have the same kind of set that we always have. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't want to not have a Jurassic Park movie where, like, like, what's her face? Bryce Dallas Howard sitting there, like, wading through water, trying to not get snapped in half by a Therizinosaurus. I was like, okay, I'm not mad that you tried to kind of have the same little set of like it's obviously in the jungle with dinosaurs, which is a terrifying situation. But I thought that was kind of a nice way to sidestep that. I was like, yeah, because if it is all just basically Jurassic World, San Diego, the full Snyder cut of a movie. Yeah. Well, I was like, okay, this is not gonna be fun. But like, no, okay, I like where we're going with this.
Well, I'm glad that you actually.
What?
Go ahead.
What I was gonna say, my last, what I thought the whole thing with Dotson was, I don't know if this is just where my brain connected, because it seemed like he was just kind of eating like, it looked like little peanuts or just a little something every once in a while. He was eating something. I thought, and this may be something that, you know, it's like there's a bigger story of it. Remember the whole thing he was doing? There were specific biogen crops of food.
Oh,
I was like,
yeah.
Was that what he was eating?
Improved himself or did something to himself.
That's what I was saying.
And he had to have a specific thing as a treatment.
Yeah, I was like, is this like a thing he's constantly eating? Something that Biosyn made that was it different in some way?
It said one of my bars. You have to have one of my bars on you.
That's just where my brain went. I was like, was he eating something that they made, which was maybe different because not only the locusts weren't destroying it, but is that a whole play on the genetically modified food thing? I'm like, maybe there was something with that Biosyn food that that's why he was eating it constantly as like a little, hold on, he had to have his little fix, you know.
Do you have any food?
Yeah, that's where I went with it. I thought that was the story.
Haley's face just like
he's like, what? But
yeah, that was the point. Like every time you'd be like, oh yeah, so we've genetically like what? Do you have a candy bar? You stopped the movie for this? Is that even in the fucking script?
Dude, I like I said, I know we haven't.
Hungry and they forgot to edit it out. This was just like, you know, off cuff.
Well, just do what Tony Stark did.
He did that.
Robert Downey Jr. hiding food throughout the movie.
That was just his character, and it works.
It was funny that you brought up. Did you bring up Sorna? I think you brought up Sorna. The dinosaur
kind of brought up Type B.
Yeah, I was gonna say because you were talking about. So upon watching that movie at a bigger screen, we found out that the T-Rex that you see get kind of like just, I don't know, like dominated over whatever, you know, when you have
the
a large
one that arrived before Alan and
no, that was Rex.
But when the one that got its neck snapped by the Spino.
No, we don't talk about that.
I'm just asking, it's all canon. Screw you. It happened.
Oh my god, the T-Rex that picks up the deer and the Giganotosaurus comes out and is like, "Fuck you." That wasn't Rexy.
Cool.
We watched that and I'm sitting there staring at it. I'm like, I don't see any scars.
Yeah,
and
Rexy's
then when
scars.
You did say that. Yeah.
When it picked up the deer and kind of turned its head, I saw these like dark green stripes going down the back, and I'm like, I looked over at my mom and I'm like, I'll be damned, that's not even Rexy. That's just one of the T-Rexes from
Reserve
Sorna. Because at the end of the movie, you see Rexy kind of coming up against two other T-Rexes that walk up. Those are the two T-Rexes from Sorna. It's kind of it's not really said that, but they have the same color scheme as the T-Rexes from Sorna
don't
do.
They show three of them standing next to each other at the end of the movie? 3 T-Rexes?
You're talking about the two that pulled Eddie apart? Like those two?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So that's who those two were supposed to be. Because he did say that they took dinosaurs from Sorna. So yeah, I mean, I would take the only 2 T-Rexes because there were 3. Apparently, we missed a Spino. We have to go back. But I just thought that was really cool because I was like, "Oh, poor Rexy," and I'm sitting there going, "Like, there's no scars." That also looks a little bit bigger than Rexy, and it sounded different. Like it had a different sound to it. I was like, "That's one of the T-Rexes from Sorna." So that was really cool to see that little.
I thought it was her because she just kind of even seemed like old and just dumb. I expected her to do the lethal weapon. Like, I'm too old for this shit. She just walked away and gave up. I was
like, which those Rexes are probably. Well, no, they wouldn't be as old as Rexy. She's still probably the oldest.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, those were adults, and that was only 4 years later.
Yeah, so she's not pushing 30 at this point, which I don't know the lifespan of a T-Rex.
She's still looking good.
But she's got a damn good figure for a 30-year-old Rex. But yeah, I just thought that was really cool. But they had
probably on a vegan diet.
You got that good biosyn food.
Yeah.
The biosyn diet.
It was really cool though. I remember when we were sitting, it always went silent. That I had to say we were in probably the most quiet theater when Jeremy, his family, and my family went and saw it, because there's so many times where I'm talking, Jeremy's talking, or my mom is over here going like clapping, and I'm just like, is anybody in here alive? Is it just us who's having fun here? Apparently,
is this not clicking with you?
But it was just like when she lands in the swamp, and I heard the guttural clicking, and I'm like, I almost looked over at Jeremy and be like,
he about jumped out of his fucking chair.
Oh, I was so fucking excited.
He's like, that's my girl.
It's here. He's like, I wonder who's coming up next.
I saw the freaking like Wolverine claws. I'm like, oh, it's the Therizinosaurus.
I just loved watching it walk up to the deer, and I'm like, is it gonna
bitch smack the deer?
Yeeted that fucking deer out of existence. I loved it, and my mom was like, but my mom kept asking questions. She's like, is that a carnivore? I'm like, no. But what's with the? I'm like,
why it did that?
They're not even. I was like, those aren't even for fighting, believe it or not. But
yeah, that's the funny thing.
It was just like, what? But
well, she proved it wrong. Those were for fighting.
I want to point out a couple more things before we move on to a little exercise that I have for us all. Did you guys catch the Nedry look-alike?
There was a Nedry look. Yes, I did.
Early in the movie, when the one guy who was in the last movie, who had like a brief cameo in this movie, the tech guy, he's in the CIA. The guy sitting next to him looks dead ass like Nedry. Did you see that?
I did.
Oh yeah.
I did a double take. I was like, did he have a kid that we don't know about?
Maybe.
I was trying to look really close at his name tag, but he was only on screen for a few seconds. I was like, I swear to God, if that says Nedry, I'm gonna shit myself right here in this theater.
Yeah, I said something to Jeremy about that. I was like, it looks like Dennis.
But yeah, one of the things I did like about it though was, I like how it wasn't like from like early in the movie on. It wasn't like the new crew and the old crew together doing a bunch of shit. I like the fact that they kind of had their own separate things going on, because it was like having a little bit of an extension of that original movie from '93 going on with Laura Dern and Sam Neill. I kind of liked having their separate thing going on away from what was going on with the newer characters, because it felt it kind of added to the nostalgia a little bit. Now, of course, when they all come together in the third act for the push towards the climax of the film, I thought that was pretty awesome too. But I really like the fact that they gave them their chance to kind of like shine together on camera again, like kind of the OG duo, and then of course Ian Malcolm is part of it as well. But I really like the fact that they did that, because it, like I said, it kind of kicked up the nostalgia a little bit. I thought it was.
Can I ask one thing? Can I ask one thing here? And this is definitely for Jeremy. But did anybody else notice that Ian Malcolm was extremely positive in this movie? For a guy who's always like, oh, it's the end of the world, blah, blah, blah. He was always dropping like random compliments to people. It was like, Macy's like, what if we all lean to the left?
Sure. He was still very Ian Malcolm, but he made me laugh at every damn thing that came out of his mouth. Because again, I'm like, is he Ian Malcolm or is he Jeff Goldblum right now? Because I don't know.
It seemed to me, I don't know, because maybe I think he was like forcing himself as Ian Malcolm, not like Jeff Goldblum doing. But it felt like more he was like, somebody has told him that he needs to lighten the fuck up. Because there was just so many moments where he's like, we all should stay positive. And then Maisie's like, maybe if we lean to the left, he goes, that's a very good idea, Maisie. And I'm like, I feel like he's just trying too hard, as Ian Malcolm trying too hard to be a nicer character person or something.
I thought maybe he was playing it because, like, he obviously had infiltrated Biosyn. He wasn't there because he necessarily wanted to be there.
Yeah. Was that intentional, or did he actually go there for the paycheck and then learned about it?
Because he did kind of just throw up his arms, like, well, it was a sweet gig while it lasted. Darn.
Well, I feel like he may have like taken the job at first because he was like, yeah, I want to make sure they don't make the same mistakes that Hammond and InGen and stuff did.
Yeah.
And then he gets there and he's like, oh yeah, they're making all the same fucking mistakes, and that's why he reaches out to Ellie Sadler and says,
guy recruit him on purpose, telling him that he needs to come and get Ellie there. I don't know. It's confusing. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
I think he probably signed on initially because he was like, I want to make sure this thing doesn't go sideways again. And then while he was there, before the events of the movie actually start, he sees some shit. He's like, okay, wait a minute. Actually, it was the black guy, his assistant guy, is the one that Ramsey is the one that actually tells him about all the shit that Biosyn is doing. They say that in the movie. So I think once he learns this, that's when he's like, okay, now I'm going to reach out to Ellie Sattler and see if I can get some shit started to try to stop this from blowing up on our face again.
I just noticed throughout when he was like, I'd say the third act, he just seemed like he was. Normally, when you would think he'd be like, "Oh, we're all gonna die," no, he's like, "Now stay positive," like because he was like trying to be a better person or something.
He's trying to put the numbers in on the pad. He's like, "Hold on, wait, I got it. Hold on,
we're gonna die. Now stay positive." Like I really like. He seemed more like that. He's like, I really am a jackass. I probably should try harder to be a better person. And he was just like,
he really didn't hit on Ellie that much.
No, he didn't. And the only time he did.
now he knows that.
But he didn't ask her, I think. Or are you still married or something? I don't know.
He was like, Grant, you got any family? And I don't know if that was like a stab or if he was just trying to like start conversation or something and be like, we have to go talk soon. But I just wanted to see if Jeremy had picked up on that because he just seemed like he was trying a little too hard.
Well, that was actually my last. That was actually my last point. I just put Ian Malcolm's a fucking badass. He made a Giga Breeze fire, damn it.
I loved him in this. He's always the first. I mean, but there's always been that side of Ian Malcolm where he has no problem putting himself in danger to save those that he loves. Like you had.
I was kind of worried. I'm
Park.
like, oh, don't kill him. Don't kill him.
Yeah, Jurassic Park, you had him. And, you know, now he didn't have any bond over these kids or anything, but they're children. He does have kids. He has a father. And he's not played off that he doesn't love his children. So when he sees kids that are in danger, he's like, okay, I'm going to put myself in harm's way to make sure these kids get to safety. So he does. Then you have the Lost World, who he goes out of his way to put himself in harm's way to save his daughter. And even though we don't really care for her that much.
Sarah, the girlfriend.
And her too. But then you get him in this one that he sees the people that I would say the people he probably has the closest of bonds with, which would be the people he's risked his life with. So he has no problem going full badass and turning a Giganotosaurus into a fire-breathing dragon. It was probably the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen. That makes so much.
At the end, he did give Alan Grant a little pat on the back. I'm like, they're buddies now.
Yeah, but there was so many thumbnails I was seeing for people reviewing the movie where they had the Giga on the thumbnail and there was fire coming out of its mouth. And I'm like, are they just doing this for the cool thumbnails or what? And then when he throws it into the mouth and it blows fire, I'm like, that's why. And I thought that was
I don't even
coolest
care. That was
like,
awesome.
Giga just fucking blew fire. I don't even care. End the movie now. Everything.
You know, it would have been a great post-credit scene. Ian Malcolm doing a TED Talk.
Cool.
Follow my TikTok here. Yeah.
Make sure you get your apartments on apartments.com. I don't know.
And watch me on Disney Plus. Is Ian Malcolm? What is the show that Goldblum's on? Sees the World or something like that.
The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
The World According to Ian Malcolm.
Right.
I'm here for that. Let's ship it.
That'd be the meta show.
I would totally watch that shit.
But
we'll move on. I want to move on. Do you have anything left? Because I want to move on. I want to move on now.
I'm
starting to run a little late. Okay. I do want to remind you guys real quick. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll say really the only things I have left are one story point and then two. But one question I had about. When they were talking about Maisie's story, and they said like, "Oh yeah, your mom ended up having this thing, and then it killed her." I was like, "Don't tell me Blue has that same fucking problem, and she's gonna die now." Shit. I think I leaned over to you, and you're like, "Oh yeah, your mom ended up having these complications or some shit, and ended up killing her because of this thing." I'm like, "No, don't tell me Blue has that same problem." Shit, don't tell me she's gonna die. But I think
so.
You whispered to me like, what about the dino blood? I'm like, the Rex blood. I'm like, oh, maybe that helped her. Maybe because she's now fused with the Rex's blood, she won't have the same disorder and she won't die. I'm like, maybe.
Well, no, you had brought up why he wanted her blood so bad, and then why everything was bad. And I was like, well, if she had the same disease, which it was probably something completely different. He wouldn't have wanted her blood so bad. He would if there was something wrong, the same disease that Maisie's mom had. He just wanted Blue's DNA because it, pure and everything.
I'm just saying if they were drawing so many parallels between Maisie and Beta, and then I'm like, okay, but don't tell me that's now going to be a side effect of, you know, like, oh crap, now Blue is going to die. And even though it seemed like the puppies perk from Fallout, where I'm like, where it's almost like, oh yeah, but if Blue dies, guess what? Beta is literally the same. It's not the same. Damn it! If she dies, it's not the same. You can't give me the puppies perk, and if Dog Meat dies in the game, you get one of his puppies at the end. Or if you do this perk, Mike, it's not the same dog. You can't tell me
just
that.
Keep coming back.
I know, but I'm like, okay, whatever.
Did you guys notice that Blue was relegated to kind of a cameo in this movie?
I was gonna say, yeah. Well, was she there just doing that? She was angrily tapping her toe the whole movie, like, "Damn it, where's my kid? Where's my kid?" I'm like, you could help, you know. Damn it.
Yeah, I even said at the beginning of the review, I was like, I wish that Blue would have gotten more screen time.
I think the problem with that is if they had her there, I think she would have died on a sword for somebody, and I'd rather her be alive.
Yeah,
I agree.
True, but I do want to move on to a little exercise. We're actually going to rank all 6 of these films. So while you guys think about where these things place in the Jurassic hierarchy 1 through 6, I'll do a little bit of housekeeping real quick. Remind you guys we do have a Patreon. And if you support our Patreon for just $5 a month, we give away $25 in free movie tickets to all those of you who support us on the platform. Now, the reason we do this is not because we want to put more money in the hands of the movie producers and production studios. We really want to try to get people going back out to the theaters and enjoying the theater experience, because the pandemic was devastating to a lot of the people that work there, the people that work at the concession stand and the box office. But now that we've got a full slate of movie releases, filming schedules are back on track, the theater industry is now ready to serve us again and let us enjoy these movies on the big screen as they should be. So that's really what we want to do, is we want to try to promote you guys to get out and go to the movie theater. So we give away $25 a month in free movie tickets to one lucky patron. Thank you to all of those who follow us on Patreon already. And if you want to support the channel, this is a good way to do it. And you get a chance to win $25 in free movie tickets every month. We'll be giving away $25 actually next week. Now that we'll be done with the Jurassic stuff, all the dino talk, next week we'll get back to a little bit more of a regular kind of show. And we'll be giving away $25 then. So between now and then, join Patreon. You get a chance to win $25 to the movie theater of your choice to see whatever the hell you want. Just go enjoy the movie theater experience. Now, what we're going to be doing on here is we are going to tiermaker.com. Many of you people have seen this used across a couple of different platforms on YouTube. And we're going to be ranking all 6 of the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World movies, number 1 through number 6. Now, you guys have had a minute or so to think about it.
I have not had enough time.
I'm watching Haley get mad at a lightning bug over here.
Trying to make our thing real quick, like snap decisions. Right, you could have told me that like 2 days ago on Monday, damn it.
But that's not fun. I like surprising you guys with shit. I want to put you on the spot a little bit.
I did not agree to a pop quiz when I joined this goddamn show.
And make him sit there while we go on these squirrel moments. So this is payback.
This is payback.
I'm seriously, I should have more time. Haley's been over here butthurt that this lightning bug won't crawl on her finger, hence why I've been laughing over here, because she's getting so mad at it, and I'm just sitting here trying to focus on you and your spiel, but she's over here legitimately getting butthurt that this bug won't crawl on her finger. And you're
you
just
give Kevin McAllister prep time. You can give me prep time. Damn it! That's fucked up. I'm not gonna get fucking attacked in the comments.
Are we doing like
think about this?
Are we doing like best movie on top and then shittiest movie on bottom?
Yes,
on the bottom.
Yes, the number 1 movie through the number 6 movie. I don't think
it's
gonna be all that hard.
1 and 6.
I really feel like
I
really feel like we're probably going to be in unison on most of these. I think 1 and 6 are going to be the easy ones. I think it's like in the 3-4 area where we're probably going to run into the most debate. But let's start with the very first movie, Jurassic Park, 1993.
Number 1. Number 1.
Okay, we'll go with that. Number 1.
No question. Number 1.
Number 1. I don't know why. It's because I'm clicking on the wrong screen.
You're an idiot. You didn't plan this out.
I didn't plan this out. So Jurassic Park number 1. Okay, I figured that we would probably put that at number 1. Okay, now let's go to.
Can I nominate number 6 real quick so we can go in the middle?
No. Let's take our time. We all know where it's going to be anyway. Now let's go to the Lost World Jurassic Park. That is the sequel, the second film in the entire franchise. That's the one where Jeff Goldblum was the only one who was really in there from the
number 6
previous
for
movie.
me.
Number 6 for you, really?
Yes.
Which one?
Jurassic World, the Lost World Jurassic Park.
Where she goes by herself, girlfriend.
Oh, Lost World?
Yeah.
Oh,
I put that at number 3. 3.
Really?
3.
I'm a 6.
It's up there. It's not the best, but it's up there.
I already have my 6.
I
but-
just now finished my 6. Just shat that out. So, fuck.
I'll put it up at number 3 for now. I feel like that's where I feel like it's in the 3-4 range. I'm not 100% sure, but we're gonna get to that.
I filled in my first pick and my last pick, and then kind of just filled in the middle is what I did. I worked my way back. Hey, man.
Now let's go to Jurassic Park 3.
4,
I put that
5.
at 4. I put it at 4.
Really?
Jeremy and I are on the same wavelength here.
See, that's the thing. I know I did say, I mean, even when it was just the 3 movies, I was like, I don't hate 3. When it was just them, like, I don't know if I could have still I didn't want to sit here and put, like, my first 3 picks are JP 1, 2, and 3. I'm like, I kind of feel like they did diminish in a way that's how I would have put them. But I was like, I didn't hate it, but not enough to. You're gonna be really surprised at what I put as number 2. To be honest,
honestly, this is number 6 to me without question.
No.
Make it 5 because we say 4, you say 6. So let's meet in the middle and put 5.
Can it be a 4.4?
There is no decimal points here. I'll put it at 4 for right now, but to me that's 6. It's like the OG Jurassic Park to me is the best. I think we're all in agreement on that. To me, Jurassic Park 3 was like a throwaway movie. It's just like Spielberg needed to make one more to satisfy a contract, so he threw it out there, and he got Sam Neill to come back for one more go around, and that was it. As much as I like Tia Leone, as much as I like William H. Macy, it really was. It was the movie was kind of sloggy to me. I just didn't like it.
Total shit.
And again, another group of assholes that just want to make money off the dinosaurs.
Another woman to scream at to shut the fuck up the whole movie.
And I love Julianne Moore. She's one of my favorite people to watch on camera. But yeah, I don't know. We'll move on. We'll move on. I'll leave it there for now. Now let's go to the first of the Jurassic World trilogy of films, and that is Jurassic World, of course. Brooding Gamer, where do you put that? 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Are we seriously just doing the same? I said 2 as well.
Because it was like you got Jurassic Park, which was the beginning of this series, and then you had Jurassic World.
That first part was legit.
Jurassic World 1 is higher than the one we just saw?
Yeah.
Yes. It was good, but not as good as I. Yeah.
It was a good
really
movie.
Liked,
it had dinosaurs eating people. That's all I wanted in a movie.
I'd tie them for third or fourth place if I could.
It's what Jurassic Park should have been. Not like should have been as in like, it's like, oh, this is what we could have actually had if it had worked. So I'm like, oh, this is fun. This is nice that it's kind of been relegated to actually being a working theme park. And I didn't know it was actually canonically that long that it was like, oh, it's been like 10 years. This has been a mainstay. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. But it still goes wrong. I'm like, yep, there it is. There's the classic.
You don't think the OGs and the new guys being together brings up the grade of the new one to make it number 2?
I had like 30 seconds to do this, damn it. Like,
what do you want? What do you want from me? I would say, like, if I could, I would put. What did we have for number 3?
Lost World, Jurassic
World.
I would probably move the Lost World to put. See, but that's the thing is, like, I would be moving it solely for nostalgia and not because I actually like.
Doesn't that count for something though? Because you guys just said Jurassic World, the first one, is higher for you because of the nostalgia and how it reminds you of Jurassic Park.
I'm not taking any shit from you. When I bought a bucket and a cup legitimately, and you had to order one on eBay, damn it. I don't want to hear shit.
When I was at the theater, they told me they didn't ever get any because they're an independent theater, so I would have had to order them anyways.
Cineopolis was the same way.
She does live in like middle of nowhere, so it's kind of can't really do that.
Give her that one. That's all you're getting.
You win this round.
Well, let's move on to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And I have a feeling I know where Jeremy and Brooding Gamer are going to put this
fucking one. 6. Is there a 7?
You and me fucking wrong.
It's at the bottom for me.
I think you guys are crazy.
Way too hard.
Like I said, I actually liked the first half of the film.
The fucking clone shit.
Second half of the film, whatever. Again, we're just doing the same old thing about some ass.
Oh,
asshole trying to make more money.
The entire half of the movie, whatever. But I'm like,
but I still think
the asshole in that movie was the auctioneer midget. Let's be honest.
That was I was like, oh no, he's got a bad hairpiece.
all I see is that guy from The Mist when he played in The Mist, where he was the clerk, the register clerk or something, and he was like, "Yeah, just all of us agree to
little
shut
people, not midget. I shouldn't say that.
He's not. But at the same time, it was just
Look, I already called the barbecue thing a spick. So fucking whatever, Cora. You know what I meant? Fucking close.
I know, but he's a bigger asshole than any of them in that movie because he's like, "You have 5 minutes to talk."
I'm gonna give my show.
That's a slower Tuesday where I'm from.
I'm
gonna give my show for
10 minutes to bring the car up, so you're not gonna give the guy 10 minutes to talk? Like, come on.
I'm gonna give myself this weird British SH on certain words because I can't even say the name Allosaurus.
Well, I guess that leaves.
I hear you say it.
I guess that leaves Jurassic World Dominion as number 5. Is that where you guys collectively think it would be?
I would have put that as 2 myself, for the record.
See, I did want to put it higher up, but I'm like, I didn't think it was like a spectacular movie, but I thought it was still good. It was not good. It's not
like the nostalgia, like Alan said. It's like
I'm in it for the dinosaurs. I know that sounds like I would. The only reason I would movie up higher.
I would switch 3 in Dominion. I'd be okay with that. I'd put 3. I'd put 3 down on 5 and put Dominion back up on 4. Like,
that's why I said like, what did we put for 3? Like, so I wanted 3 things in this movie. That was my Therizinosaurus, which I got. I got it. Which was blind. Now that I think about it, don't know why. I was like, oh, it's blind.
Because they mixed DNA of an eel with him, and eels have a tendency to go blind.
Where did you hear this? Where did you hear
I'm legally blind.
So are we switching 3 and 5?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd be okay with it. Like, I know 3 is not a great movie. Maybe I'll just take I'm the unpopular opinion. Like, I like it. Weirdly, I like it. I'm like, I'm not saying it is a good movie. If that's, I don't know. I'm trying not to let that play too much into it. It's like, you could say like, oh yeah, well you picked number 1 is nostalgia. I'm like, well,
Jeremy, let me say that I'm with you on that, and I even said that I'm kind of like that unpopular opinion. I enjoyed it more watching it again when we watched it on Saturday morning. I had to say, rewatching it again years later, I'm like, there's a lot more you can appreciate in this movie.
Even with the woman screaming all the time, it's like, can someone just put
we got a Spinosaurus
gag in her mouth or something?
We got a Spinosaurus. I would pay to see that. Don't bring that up. I have a woman sitting right here with me. Don't bring that up.
I like Tia Leone, but she is way too much of a Mary Sue character in that movie.
Oh, it was awful.
Way too much.
I love you.
It made it hard to enjoy.
She was more annoying than Ian Malcolm's kid in the other movie.
I would like to make note that Ian had another child. He originally had 4.
2.
Didn't he say he had 5 in the last movie?
No, he's got 5 kids and he's paying bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said. Well, in the first movie when he asked me, he said he had 3. I'm like, well, we only saw 1, and now he has like 4 or 5. I'm like, okay, dude, wait a minit, what?
He has as many children as Imelda Marcos has shoes.
Jesus Christ, Ian Malcolm was throwing that dick around, son.
Getting around.
I'm sorry. Have you seen the man?
Hey.
Yeah.
He sits down at any random table with a woman who's clearly been stood up on a date, drinking wine, and he sits down. Have I told you about? Would you like to hear about chaos theory?
Yeah, tell you about.
Do you have a cup of water?
Let me show you. Chaos theory.
No.
We got some wine here.
And he asked them, "Are you ovulating? Let's go home."
He's like, "Oh, back to my place." Hey. So is this our official ranking then? It's like we have Jurassic Park, the original Jurassic World, then Jurassic World Dominion, Jurassic Park 3, then The Lost World, Jurassic Park, and then Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Yep, that sounds
close enough for me.
I think you guys are on crack.
What would you do, Frank?
No, hold on. I had JP1, Jurassic World, Lost World, Dominion 3, and then Fallen Kingdom. I switched them.
Fallen Kingdom cannot be lower than.
Yeah, it can.
3.
I'd give it a 10. What is this list go to? 6? I'd give it a 10. Fuck that. I'm still mad. Like,
I'm putting this under the list. I hate it so much.
Again, I'm one of those people that only goes. I base my movie off of what the hell was that? Based off of what is in it. Like if I'm sitting there and I'm like, I loved the Lost World solely because it had really cool looking raptors and it had a Parasaurolophus and I loved it. I enjoyed Jurassic Park 3 because it had Carnotaurus, Spinosaurus. I enjoyed Fallen Kingdom solely because it had a Carnotaurus in it. Because I love it that much. That is why I'm like, I go like, oh no, Owen died. But the Carno, like, I don't care about the people.
Someone brought that up. Like, why is the Carno literally just not caring about its own existence, and he wanted to have time to fight with that other dinosaur? I'm like, really? Yeah, dude.
I don't know. I don't. Going into that, I honestly think there was some sort of.
Well, and it got its ass kicked too. He got flipped on its ass by that.
Well, so there's multiple things I've seen where you'll have animals that will bond together if they're in captivity. Yeah, they're in a fighting thing, but there could have been a whole scene or a whole thing that that they really were just like, there's other things going on, but they did kind of seem to help each other a little bit. It was like, here, let me catch this guy on fire. You hungry? Let me cook this guy. And then the Allosaurus was like, oh, thanks, friend. And he kept having all these, like, I don't want to call them jump scares, but he kept coming out of nowhere. It was like, nom. Oh, nom. Here's another one. But you did get this kind of like sense it's like they weren't interested in fighting each other because, they've probably been stuck together for a while, even though they're right next to each other. There's probably some sort of...
Or they're both lazy and they don't want to actually go to the effort to kill each other, so they just stay in their own sides of the...
Why fight each other when we have all this free food running around?
Right.
But and nobody has brought it up.
One likes chicken and one likes beef, so they send the other one over,
Yeah, but no, like there was one dinosaur, and it's not even a dinosaur, that was in this movie that nobody has brought up, and that goddamn little pug-looking dinosaur, or the Lystrosaurus, which was that thing had like little tusk, and when that guy fell back into the pit, and he had like the Carno baby eating one hand, and then on this other side, it's just biting his wrist and like doing this number, and he's like screaming, looking at it like, why? And I'm like, he's over here like the Bulbasaur of fucking dinosaurs, just doing his best, trying to be like, I'm doing something. And I wanted to make a note how fucking cute that thing was, and it needed more screen time. And it got a shit ton of deleted scenes, and it pisses me off. It turns out that the little guy was going to be like Kayla, what's her name? Kayla something? I know her real name's DeWanda Wise or something like that, but it was going to be like her little like buddy that would run around with her throughout the rest of the film, and they just didn't do it. Really butthurt about that.
Well, I have rearranged the movies to show what I think.
Okay.
Ooh, let's look.
Jurassic Park #1, the original. Okay. Jurassic World #2. Mm-hmm. And then I put Dominion #3.
First one?
The first Jurassic World #2. Yes. I put Dominion at #3, and I put Fallen Kingdom at #4. I think they're pretty close. The only thing
you're right, Frank. You are on crack.
I agree more with Frank than you two, so it's 2 for 2.
The only reason I think Dominion is better than Fallen Kingdom for me is because, like I said, the first half of Fallen Kingdom was good. The second half is just the same old shit. It was very cookie cutter. I think Dominion was probably a more complete movie.
Nice.
That's what I think. Then I put the Lost World Jurassic Park, which is the second film in the franchise, because I don't know. I feel like there was more they could have done. I feel like I feel like Spielberg was mailing it in a little bit there. Now now even Spielberg mailing it in is better than 98% of the directors on the planet. Don't get me wrong, but I still feel like there was something that he was just throwing it out there as a moneymaker. And then Jurassic Park 3, which I don't think ever got there. I mean, a lot of talent in that movie, and it never really achieved what it could have with the level of talent that was in that movie. I mean, again, kind of an interesting premise about somebody accidentally getting stuck on the island, but then it's like, oh no, here comes the corporate greed again, because that's what we always fall back on when we can't complete a dinosaur story in the Jurassic universe. That to me, it just kind of ruined it. I feel like there's other places they could have gone. If it had just been another movie of them running and screaming from dinosaurs, it might have been a little bit better to me, because that's what I expect. But the whole corporate thing again, I just can't. I couldn't do it. But anyway, that's what I think.
Screaming.
Just running. Screaming.
Now I have a question for the three of you.
Screams.
Did seeing this movie, if you hadn't seen this movie, and last week when we talked about Fallen Kingdom, would your orders still be the same, or did something about this movie change at all?
No, Fallen Kingdom would have still been on the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't say I can't say I would have changed the rankings other than inserting Dominion in at third.
The only good thing that would have saved Fallen
sure.
Kingdom, in my opinion, was if they would have stayed focusing on the nature aspect of things. Life kind of coming back around and biting us in the ass, and not having to have some dude in a corporate fucking monkey suit, running around going, "I'm in it for the money."
Yeah. Like I said, it's very, very cookie cutter. I just
that movie was very heavy. The reflection off his damn glasses, just watching the money, the total rank up. I'm like, could you be any more? I get it. Can you be any more obvious? God damn.
Well, I hate to tell you guys this, but if any of you guys decide to get into Camp Cretaceous, it is binge worthy. I really do think it is a binge worthy.
I guess I have to now to understand the story.
Yeah,
I'm probably going to give it a go. Just
in the movies.
It starts off slow. You need to know that, but it's all John Williams music. It's not like they just kind of piece together.
Fair
so
enough.
It's all John Williams. There's a lot of it's Easter egg territory left and right. You will find something every 5 seconds where you're like, oh, and that stuff is cool.
It's that one Marvel movie you got to watch to make sure you all fucking know what's going on. Then you actually see the thing that's important. The next movie, that's what it is.
I can tell you, rest assured that hey, Jeremy, you get to see the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus again. But
Sweet.
yeah, it was a show that when I was watching it, Haley watched it along with me, and she actually really got into it, and that threw me off because that's not something she usually would get into. But I caught her getting involved, and I caught her being like, no. And I'm like, you like it. But it's worth the watch. It's a binge-worthy show. It's got its comedic moments. It's got its, okay, really, can we just move on? And then there's a lot of, it intertwines with the story of Jurassic World and the very, very, very beginning of Fallen Kingdom when the Rex is chasing that guy down the dock and the mosasaur and everything. It even connects with that. So there's a lot of things where you're like, oh,
at least that, you know what? At least it kind of gives the right time period. Mm-hmm. I know Jurassic Park, Jurassic World rolls off the tongue. I'm like, yeah, but these are
there's a moment in Camp Cretaceous where two of the kids it's like the black kid, whose name I can't remember his name. And then this guy named Kenji, he's like it turns out his father is one of the sponsors for the park. There's a hotel in the movie with his name on it. That's all you need to know. He's talking, they're in the dark and they're like, you can hear all these things going on. And then you hear raptors in a motorcycle. And they're like, oh, there's somebody here. We'll get help. You know what scene that is. It's the raptors and Owen all going for the Indominus. So it's like stuff like that where there's things happening in the background. And then you're like, oh, that's the part from this movie. This is what the kids are doing. This is what's going on. If Owen
so this is all just nostalgia pokes. We're just sitting there like that little meme with Leonardo DiCaprio going like, oh, that, like you're pointing at the screen like, yeah, I know that. Like, okay.
Yeah, pretty much the whole thing. I just thought it was really cool. But anyway,
I do have a couple pieces of trivia that I managed to find. There's not a whole lot available online right now because the movie is so very new, so little bits of trivia tend to leak out over time. But I do have a couple of interesting things to point out before we start to wrap this up. Do you guys realize that Jeff Goldblum is the same age now as Richard Attenborough was in the original film?
Holy crap.
No way. Oh, shit.
Good though, man.
Dude, time is a crazy thing.
Life finds a way.
It does. Yeah, I read that. And I was like,
really
holy
hate
shit.
that, man.
Holy shit. But, yeah, I read that and I was like, good God. Hey, Jeff Goldblum looks good, though. Whatever that, hey, you eat your vegan shit, Jeff Goldblum. You grill your zucchini and shit. I don't care. You keep doing what you're doing, pal. As long as you stay in the movies, that'll be cool. Also, on a dinosaur tip, it has been proven by scientists that, and you're going to have to help me out with this in a little bit, Breeding Gamer, a Therizinosaurus, did I say that right? Would have been able to kill a T-Rex in real life.
Yep.
Ha!
So those claws were actually used for... And people, it's funny because I've seen memes where this dinosaur has like a beard photoshopped and an Amish hat. Those claws were not even used for fighting. They were actually used for food, foraging, digging through foliage to pull all those up. And I don't know if you saw it last night when you were in my live stream, but when I released that Therizinosaurus into my park, when it sits down and eats, it's kind of cute because it sits down and it folds its little arms up. and it sits there and it just kind of digs with those claws and then picks them up and then eats through eats through its claws. But that animal would not have a single issue completely. Like, I've already seen things like what it does in the movie where it impales the Giga. That's not at all uncommon from what people say that animal could easily do, just impale and be done.
That was actually one of my points. I was like, you know what? Rexy is still the goddamn queen of the jungle, and I love the teamwork with the Therizinosaurus. That was awesome.
But yeah, that is not at all something that would not be not plausible.
Did they actually use those claws?
I almost fucking cried too.
Did they actually use those claws for fighting and stuff, or was it just
they could if they needed to?
Okay.
They would if they needed to.
How aggressive? How aggressive were those dinosaurs?
Very.
Okay.
So there's been a lot of.
It would have smacked a deer for sure.
Yeah. What it did to that deer is not at all uncommon. So for the longest time, people thought the Therizinosaurus was actually a carnivore, because if you see claws that large on really the only biggest piece of documented fossils that we have are like up in here. Actually, let me be a Jack Horner here. Oh, shut up. We have this part right here, which would be the collarbone, going into the actual arms. This is pretty much all we have for the longest time of a Therizinosaurus. And really, there's only a few animals in the species line. So, it is considered a theropod, which most of would be your carnivore, your T-Rex, anything large. Carnivore is considered a theropod, but it is a herbivore theropod. And the only reason we know that is because there was fossils found of the same body types, but we started getting into a head, and it has the same kind of grinding teeth that any herbivore would have, and there's not really any sharp teeth to it. It has a beak, of course, but when they call it a murder chicken, they're not kidding. These things were massive. There was only a select few animals, like Segnosaurus. How do you say its name? Like Bevo. We'll just call it Bevo. There's only Bottom-a-boopy-saurus here. Only in Italy. They were very, very territorial. When I did the little toy review of this guy right here with Jeremy and Rachel, I had mentioned that the animal was extremely territorial, and I even that was so great. I even mentioned, and I actually kind of just pieced this together as a joke, but I was like, you would find like carcasses of animals around, or you'd find slashes in trees, and paleontologists have actually said that would actually not be inaccurate, because just like anything with claws, they want to mark their territory. And like bears today, bears will show where they've been. They show, this is my territory, by giant claws, or by
trees and such.
Clawing in the trees.
They stand up and mark a tree. Yeah.
But an animal of that, you would think clearly would be a carnivore. And for the longest time, people thought, and it was funny because earlier renditions of TV shows, like there was a show called, I think just called Tarbosaurus or Dinosaur King or something like that. But they had a Therizinosaurus in that. And if anybody's ever seen the funny footage of like, it was like, oh, baby blue or something, and then it running up, and then this big Therizinosaurus like stabbing it and eating it. Well, that's what they thought. Like, you can tell how old certain documentaries are, because you've got this thing that's just like swallowing a baby dinosaur whole, and then it's going up against a T-Rex with, fingernails like this. Or Haley calls it the Karen now. She said that the final fight looked like a
you don't
Karen.
think it's a Karen dinosaur.
Yep. She was like, so why is Karen so mad? No. She's like, is she going for the manager? And I'm like, yeah, the Giga's the manager. And Karen is pissed about her nail job. But
you need
yeah,
a Karen wig for that Therizinosaurus you got there.
I was like, couldn't you call it like Edward Scissorhands? Like I did name after the stream. Someone said, name it Edward. So the Therizinosaurus in my game is
no, it's just a dinosaur that had hand dysfunction, so he took Dino Viagra and it made his hands bigger.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I would have called it Logan, because it reminded me of fucking Wolverine. Seriously.
I don't think that's what Viagra does, Cora.
No.
I know.
He rubs it in his hands just over and over, and they just
get
get bigger.
fingernails that grow when you take Viagra, from what I hear.
I know. Really bad.
That's the wrong digit, Cora. Damn it.
But
whoa.
Another piece of information I thought was interesting is Blue is the first velociraptor to survive the entire Jurassic World trilogy.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Velociraptor, I'm like, well, we still have Rexy. I'm like, she's probably the only other one who has survived.
If there's a Jurassic film Hall of Fame for dinosaurs, the first two inductees have to be Rexy and Blue.
Yeah.
I mean, Rexy's been the hero, for 3 or 4 of the movies now? And Blue has, from what the dinosaurs' perspective, has kind of carried this entire Jurassic World trilogy.
Man, the Brachiosaurus was so close. You were this close, man. Nope.
Only he were a little bit faster.
Aw.
One more piece of trivia, though. You guys will be happy to hear this. Chris Pratt, Sam Neill, and Jeff Goldblum will be together in another film very, very soon.
Nice.
That seems like a very specific.
They're all going to be in Thor: Love and Thunder, which is coming out here in just a month? What, a couple months? Month and a half?
Yeah, I was like, you said Chris Pratt and Jeff Goldblum. I'm like, wait, what were they in? I'm like, wait, they were in Thor. I'm like, that's right.
We're getting him back, whatever his character's name was, who I didn't.
Yeah,
care
the
about.
weird,
fucking weird.
Yeah.
He was playing Jeff Goldblum in that movie, which is the best part. He's just playing himself.
Hasn't he just always kind of been Jeff Goldblum? Like, I don't know.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it's like maybe early in his career he actually tried to act, but now he's just like, screw it, I'm just gonna be me.
I was like, if you said
I talk funny,
if you said something like Fly, I'm like, nah, he's being the character. But I would say, even I'd dare to say, like maybe Independence Day. I'm like, okay, you're just being Jeff Goldblum now. All right.
Now I want to watch Independence Day. Stop.
It was on the other day, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna watch it.
Can we remake Jaws, but with I don't know why that came out of my head, but I want to remake Jaws, but with Jeff Goldblum.
I don't want to remake Jaws.
No, not the first one. I'm like, the sequels we don't talk about because they didn't happen.
No, the first Jaws movie is the only one that exists.
First one is an absolute
I have to
gem.
vent a little. So I'm in the middle of reading the series by Steve Alton about the Meg books, and final book was supposed to be released this month. The fucker decided to delay the release a whole calendar year because they decided to make Meg 2 movie to push the second movie. So as a book reader, fuck you, authors. Just because you get another movie doesn't mean you need to stop putting the books out. To vent.
But Jason Statham.
There's the transporter.
I'll say that.
What?
Oh, it's almost like there was some show that they didn't put out in their other books, and they just kind of went ahead with it, and they ruined the whole thing. Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I know.
But whatever.
Why was there not a single Jurassic?
You know what? And I'm gonna go on record right now. I have not seen a single damn episode of that show to this day. Yes, I'm one of those people. I don't care.
What show?
It's funny how Game of Thrones.
I haven't watched a single episode of it either.
I've seen the whole series. It's
Jeremy.
People were giving people shit for not watching it, and then I'm like, oh, then you had to awkwardly backpedal when your show completely shit the bed at the end. I'm like, that's funny, isn't it?
Let me ask you this: have you ever played Skyrim?
I love it when karma comes together.
Have you ever played Skyrim?
No, I don't have a tattoo of it on my arm, but yes, continue.
Okay. No, I'm asking for a purpose. Okay, have you ever done that? Have you ever watched porn?
Oh boy.
Where is this going?
If you've ever watched, so if anybody ever says, hold on. If anyone has ever said, oh, I've never watched Game of Thrones, you ever watched porn? Yeah, you've watched Game of Thrones. That's all there is.
There's way too much focus on incest.
All there is.
I've literally never watched Game of Thrones. That wasn't a lie.
You're not missing much.
It's like that. What I'm getting at is there's no difference.
People still try the whole like, well, you're really into Lord of the Rings. Yes, that's something completely different. That doesn't mean just because there's swords and orcs and I'm like, that doesn't mean I'm gonna like that.
I was listening to this show. Actually, it was the Bob and Tom show. He had his son on there, and he was like, "Oh yeah, Game of Thrones. Oh, you've actually never seen Game of Thrones." He's like, "Well, I was playing Skyrim, and I had porn playing in the background." And he's like, "Well, that's not the same thing."
See, right so when now it clicked. I'm like, "Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's dragons and titties. Haha, it's a fun show." I'm like, no, it's not.
It's really. I mean, there's moments in Game of Thrones where I'm like, "Okay, that was cool. That was really cool."
When
like
the direwolves, when they find the direwolf pups at the very beginning,
they
that
just
was
kill
a nice
them all
scene.
anyway. So
I know, and then you get mad about it. I'm just like,
I think me and Frank are like, we don't care. We haven't seen this shit. They've seen it. We have not. There was a class divide in this YouTube video.
It's not like there's some creepy pedo guy out in the woods who sleeps with his daughters, and if a boy is born, he throws it out in the snow for alien monsters to turn it into another monster.
They're called White Walkers. It's not that hard.
It's disgusting, some of the stuff when you say it out loud.
Learn something.
Read a book.
Read the books, guys. You should have done that.
That seems like a good enough place to start to wrap things up. I do really hope you enjoyed our discussion about Jurassic World Dominion, as well as the other crazy story that we had to talk about, because, he just won't go away. He somehow, for some reason, likes to be talked about on the internet, apparently. But I do want to thank all my wonderful co-hosts for coming and hanging out with me tonight, starting with the Dowager Countess, Lady Cora. How are you tonight, man? Where can the folks find you at home? I'm tired.
Nowhere. I'm allergic to the internet, except for your show.
Yeah, let that be the lesson to all of you. We are the vaccine for shitty YouTube shows. Just see shitty YouTube shows, come to us. We'll help you get better.
That's why I've come here to feel better about myself.
Or Brooding Gamers channel, or Grim Tuesdays, Twitch and YouTubing. It's all good.
Yeah. And my hetero life mate, Jeremy, what have you got going on? Some gaming stuff still, right?
Mm-hmm. Do you even have me in the gaming section of your thinking? Because you keep mentioning it like, oh, it's the gaming section, like the rows. I'm like, and I'm pointing at myself like, I'm right here too.
Well, no, this is one of the reasons why I always tell people that you're Grim Tuesday 23 across all platforms. So if they want to find you on Twitch, if they want to find you on YouTube, if they want to find you anywhere, just look for Grim Tuesday 23.
You really think people on the internet have enough of a brainstem to come on? You got to hold their hand a little bit.
I think like 15% of them have enough critical thought.
Maybe 17%.
And if
Maybe
you get
mommy and daddy are fighting again.
If you get 1% of those 15%, you're probably gonna do okay.
I don't know, man.
I'm comfortable.
I need.
Do you know what'll make you feel better, Jeremy? Just let Buttercup lick your face. That'll make you feel better.
She is past the absolute hell out right now.
Aww.
So
I love that damn dog.
She
kept us good company.
Leg, snoozing.
She kept us good company watching all those movies. I'm like.
Did she?
She crawled up on my lap. I about dozed off because I was like, "Nope, you gotta go. You're gonna put me to sleep."
Like, hey.
So Jeremy,
we're watching dinosaurs. Damn it.
Jeremy used his shout out time to bitch at me. What an asshole he is. Anyway,
I feel the love.
He is.
I feel the love between you guys.
He is Grim Tuesday.
I still had 2 more points. Damn it.
Hey,
I was excited that Ellie and Grant got back together. Finally, God damn it! And also, as an akin to your thumbnail, I loved the literal JP logo reference. I'm like, I'm not even mad. That's
you know what?
People hated that.
Hold on,
People actually hated that, and I don't understand why.
I actually put it up here because I wanted to show. So lucky that I found this image. I did not expect to find it because
I was wondering how you did.
Because I saw this in the theater and I was like, that is the baddest frame of film in this entire movie. It is so awesome. My heart skipped a beat when I saw it, and I was like, Colin Trevorrow, that image right there makes the entire third act. And so when I was when I went on to start getting the thumbnail ready, I was like, I just kind of went into like the image search, and I was like, Jurassic World Dominion, not expecting to see this picture. And as I'm scrolling through, I find this, and I'm like, search over. That's it right there.
There it is.
That's my thumbnail.
Yeah, believe it or not, people hate it because they're like, oh, we get it. It's the logo. And I'm like, you guys didn't like that?
Well,
that was perfect.
That was the thing. That was this whole movie was supposed to be a completion of this at least this trilogy. So why not have a great shot like that? I think that is great cinematography. I think
it was just like the banner dropping over T-Rex in the first movie. It was just like
I think that was a fantastic shot for that movie. So thank you, Colin Trevorrow, for that. Right, I was so happy to have found that, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, "That's a thumbnail."
Because you sent me that picture, and I was like, "Dude, that's awesome."
that was the greatest.
Yeah, I think when we right before we started the show, I was sitting there looking at the thumbnail. I'm like, "How did you get that? Wait a minute, where did you find that picture? Because holy crap, this soon, and you found that picture."
I love it.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, I was so lucky to have found. I didn't think I was going to find that anytime soon, but I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm using that shit right there." But. And also, thank you. Before we give Brooding Gamer a chance to shout his stuff out, I do want to point out that all these badass backgrounds that we have been using to break down all these Jurassic movies, from Jurassic Park to Jurassic World, they were all designed by him. When we first started talking about doing all this, he was just like, I have some ideas for backgrounds that we could use while we're doing these breakdowns. I was like, send me some of your ideas that you got. And he sent me these, and they've been absolutely brilliant. The reason I made the Jurassic Park one bigger is because that's my favorite of all the ones that he's done. But they were all just fantastic backgrounds. So thank you very much, Gamer, not just for coming and hanging out with us and bringing this your expertise, your knowledge about dinosaurs and about this series of films to us to just make everything better, make our discussion better. But thank you also for these great backgrounds that you did. I think they're fantastic.
You're very welcome. I'm always willing to make any more. If you ever want, just give me a heads up on what your theme's going to be for the night, and I'll cook some up for you. Give me enough time though.
But where can the folks
you
at home?
You need to make me a background for streaming or something. Jesus.
I got you. You just let me know what you guys want.
Yeah.
I don't even charge you for them.
Yeah, right.
But tell us where the folks can find you on the internet. You have a YouTube channel as well. What kind of stuff you got coming up?
I have right now. I'm really just covering Jurassic World Dominion, the Biosyn expansion pack for the Jurassic World Evolution 2, which Frank so graciously joined in on last night, which was a nice treat to have you in there. Because I got to carry on a little bit of a conversation, and people around us like, wait, what? Who's he? What? I'm like, if you guys watch the show, you would fucking understand, you little.
I love like all these like 10 to 15 damn people that watch this show every night, and then no one watches my streams. I'm calling you out right now.
Where the hell are you guys? Frank's been paying them off. You found out. No, I'm that's currently where I'm at on YouTube right now, is just working on the game, trying to focus away from the toy hunts for a little while because those are fucking expensive. And we also
might be filming something, me and him.
That's right. Yes, Jeremy and I and Zach and hopefully Rachel, if we get her back in time, we're all going to be filming a fancy pants little intro to another toy hunt. Which the video that you guys saw today at the beginning, the little skit will be playing that was a taste of another big toy hunt video coming up here eventually. So we'll be doing that one. We've got a nice little nod to Dotson and Dennis Nedry coming up shortly. I take a wild guess at who I'll be playing.
You're right. You can take a wild guess. Well, actually, you won't really know who I'm playing. You'll have to see.
You guys will love it. You guys are gonna love it.
Yeah, it's a funny way for me to introduce my whole thing.
Yeah,
I actually already have a new little funny quip we need to put just in light of this new movie because Dotson was in it. I already have something funny I want to add.
What I was going to tell you is because I'm actually wanting to get Jeremy as part of some of my series where I go out and do like the vintage toy hunts. I have a series called Vintage Victories where I go out and I look for the old style Jurassic Park, the Kenner figures, the stuff that, we grew up on before the world started falling apart. And I try to go out and having, I've been wanting to have Jeremy with me because, we both grew up at the same, our birthdays are the same day, for God's sakes.
Are you serious? I knew you were close in age, but that's...
we have the same exact birthday, yeah.
Yep.
2 years apart.
It was meant to be.
Were you guys born in the same hospital?
Brothers. That would be funny.
I don't know.
We'll have to talk about that off stream.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to have Jeremy with me.
Together in the parking lot.
Sup?
Sorry.
Wah. Yo. But I've been wanting to have Jeremy.
I can say yo at 2 years old, yeah.
I've been wanting to have Jeremy tag along, and we do, which I think would be good for his own channel, like covering like pop figures and stuff like that, because he's got such a big love for them, and he's got his collection.
Have you seen my background?
Yeah. I've been wanting to do some of the stuff like that where we go and look for themed pop figures, like during Halloween, go out together, go to Trader's World, go to all these places, and we get together and go and look for horror movie themed pop figures, stuff that we don't have, stuff like that. But I've been wanting to get him in there, and I think that would be a good idea if he wanted to start up a YouTube channel for the Grim Tuesday to start up his own.
See, it's funny you say that because I didn't really get. Even though Frank's like, I took my little 15 seconds of plugging to fucking token him. I didn't get a chance to say anything. God damn it! Because I was like, I might have new information, but
he was having good conversation.
Whatever. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Actually, my first. No, this would be the last Tuesday was the second stream I had. That was we're just kind of free playing Lego Star Wars. We're just kind of go around trying to get all the stuff we can. We're just kind of doing the free roam thing right now, and then we'll work through the because it's at first I didn't understand how the game was, what they were trying to say about this, but it's like you just have the little hub worlds, the planets you can go to. But then there's the story missions that all have their own, you can find the same secrets and stuff like that. So we're just running around the galaxy, quite literally. Someone on this planet needs to go all the way across the galaxy to go do this and go to this one, then come back. I'm like, oh my god, my RPG senses were going crazy. So yeah, we're just kind of doing that. I actually did that one by myself, and it was fun. And like he said, now that I've had this idea rolling around in my head for a while, kind of like how we review movies on here. I had an idea for a show for myself to review video games, kind of in like the same light, and give them a ranking of like, should you buy this, should you not, stuff like that. Like maybe tie in the streaming thing, because I'm like, here's my quote full review of the game. You can watch me play through the entire game. This is a raw boom. This is what I think of the entire time I play the game, and then the actual review is maybe 10, 15 minutes long, just being like, okay, so here's what I think. Just, you've seen me play it, now here's what I think about it. Something like that. Maybe just get the ball.
We need to get a podcast going. Get on, what is that? Where do you go to get all the podcasts on? Like iHeartRadio or something? We can is it
iHeartRadio?
I think so. We could get the Harsh Truth on a podcast or something.
I've thought about doing an audio thing, because I can download something like Audacity, something simple just to record everything we're talking about, and then make a few quick edits if I need to, and then just throw it up on some podcasting thing. But I'll get around to it. I mean, it's something I'll do eventually.
Make a background for you.
Well, it'd be audio if I did a podcast thing, so I wouldn't really need a background. No, what
You do need a logo or a thumbnail thing. When they look up your name, there's usually a little picture.
Yeah, well, I just
all that, or like, because if you just have sound up, sometimes people have like, there's a couple people I've watched that do podcasts where it's literally just like a drawing of a table on the main screen, and then it's just like one guy like a drawing of a key.
I'm still in Jack Sparrow mode. A drawing of a key.
What's that show? I'm sure I know Jeremy would know it. It's on YouTube. It's like the guy does like the goriest movies or something like that, and he has like scary. Oh my god! It's like bloody. It's not bloody disgusting, but it's like dead meat, something meat.
You talking about dead meat? Where he does the kill count?
Yeah, him. He did like a podcast one day where they had like,
you talking about the Dead Meat podcast with him and Chelsea?
Yeah. He did. There was one where somebody had like, because it wasn't showing like actual camera footage of him. It was just like a picture of like a table. And on one side, it was like a famous movie monster, but it had like his characteristics. And then another guy who he was interviewing who was just like a basic white sheet ghost, but he had like glasses and the beard that he actually has. And that was just like,
maybe we should animate. We should animate these. That'd be fun.
Oh God!
All stuff that we can get around to eventually. But since even the closing of this is dragged out a little bit, again, want to thank
you tried to shut me down. Tried to keep me down, man.
Yeah. Well, stop bitching at me when I try to give you your chance to plug your shit.
You did. Or ranking of the movies.
They're doing it again.
As for me, you can find me here every Thursday with my friends talking about all the crazy shit going on in the movie and television and entertainment sphere. You can also find me on Sunday nights over on the Derailed News and Podcast, going over all the other crazy shit that's going on around the world that is not necessarily entertainment related. Don't forget to check out all the really cool content creators that I've got linked down in the description below. They're all really cool people. Guys like Night Watch Zone and some other people. Go check out some of the gamers down there. I'll put Jeremy's link in there since he stops bitching at me. But
I'm saying they go to the gaming section and they don't see me, and they're like, oh.
Also, don't forget to come in here. Usually the odd Monday we'll come here and do the breakdowns for movies like this, the bigger movies, Jurassic World, Marvel kind of level stuff, things like that. We'll do separate reviews on.
Speaking
usually
of
on
Marvel,
Mondays.
I want to say one thing. I was literally yipping with joy when I read today that they start filming this week for season 2 of Loki.
Yes.
Just saying.
They do. We'll be back to breaking down Loki episodes here eventually. That's going to be pretty awesome.
I would like to be a part of that. Just saying.
Please.
We'll do that. As far as
are we also just disregarding Obi-Wan?
No, I was just about to say, as far as next week is concerned, next week's going to be a very Obi-Wan heavy discussion because we didn't get around to it last week. This week things got all kind of jumbled up because the schedule kind of changed suddenly because we couldn't do this review on Monday like I had planned, and so I kind of had to rearrange the usual Thursday fare that we give you guys. But yeah, this next week's going to be definitely a lot of breaking down the last couple episodes of Obi-Wan. 6 episodes is not going to be enough for the. That's one of the things I know I'm going to bitch about is 6 episodes is not enough. But thank you all very much. Who voted in the poll? Actually, I don't know why it didn't close the poll when I wanted it to. Let me click on that again. But it does say that out of the 16 votes, that 62% of you thought like Jurassic World, 6% of you did not, and 31% of you said meh. The people who said meh, how do you say meh? I actually thought it was good. But anyway, thanks to all of you who voted in the poll. We very much appreciate it. And again, don't forget, look down the corner right down there. Once we get to 500 subscribers, charity stream for the Abandoned Pet Project. A lot of people went and got companion pets to get through the pandemic, which is understandable, but as soon as things started to slack it up a little bit, a lot of these people just returned these animals to the shelters. Some people were just callous assholes and threw them out on the street. A lot of these animals have been hurt. Some of these animals are dying. They're being euthanized because there's just no place to put them. The Abandoned Pet Project goes and gets these animals out of the kennel, takes them out of the euthanation stations that they're in. They nurse them back to health. They help rehome those animals. The Abandoned Pet Project works with veterinarians all over the country to try to facilitate that for these animals, to give them another chance, to make people happy, to find good homes. So 500 subscribers, and we do a charity stream for the Abandoned Pet Project. So help spread the word. Don't forget to hit the like button, share us around, get your friends to subscribe so we can get to this charity stream. And we will see you guys later on. Adios.
Bye.
Bye.
To see them.